In this video, I'll be bringing together the complete adventure of my fortress series. Watch as I overcome this wasteland and build one of the coolest fortress bases in Project Zomboid, along with exploring new challenges and learning how to forge my own armor and weaponry to clear out one of Louisville's most populated locations, known as the Grand Ohio Mall, and even working towards taking this place over completely and creating a suitable outpost for myself. This video is an enhanced and re-edited version of my complete fortress series. So, without further ado, let's begin with Chapter 1. Picture this, just over this bridge is a long strip of roads, and if you follow it, you'll find yourself at a checkpoint surrounded with the undead. But if you manage to find a way through, this will lead you to one of the most deadliest cities in Project Zomboid. Some who venture out this far don't even make it back alive, but if you manage to find a way through this concrete jungle, just along the river and outside the edge of Louisville is a thick forest. But beyond this forest, you'll find something unexpected. A castle, a fortress untouched by time. And my plan is to transform this place into my home. So just like any other run in Project Zomboid, it all begins as a fresh spawn in a lonely little house. However, I found myself in a mini hotel just near the edge of West Point. Some might say I was a little unfortunate to have spawned here, considering there was hardly any early game loot to be had. But I guess you could say it later worked out in my favor. After searching one of the rooms, I managed to find a key to a car in the parking lot just outside the building. So I packed up anything I could find and hopped into my new car to begin exploring the town of West Point. This is also about when I would set some plans for myself before heading to my desired build location. Now, in order to actually survive such a journey like the one I was after, I would need to be well prepared. So I came up with a few goals I had in mind. First, I would need to get a backpack. Oh, wait, 1 second. Let me just, oh, okay. Yep, there we go. Oh, that was so close. Can't be doing that. All right, well, we got the bag. Okay, so now that I had a backpack, I'm gonna need to find some guns and ammo. There is a stockpile of weapons I could get from the West Point gun store, which after checking, I would probably also need a sledgehammer in order to break in. You could obviously use the Molotov trick, but I'd rather just find a sledgehammer because I'm gonna need it anyways. So I would take a drive around the town of West Point in search of a sledgehammer that could potentially spawn on the road. I would stop at a few locations, including the West Point mechanic shop and then the gas station just around the corner. And while in search of any other generic supplies or in the hopes that I would stumble across a sledgehammer, I then came across a wrecked police car. This reminded me that I could just visit the police station and maybe there's a chance I could find a key to the building and its armory. So I made a quick hike over there and sneaked inside the front door. And to my surprise, the very first desk I looted ended up having exactly what I was looking for. Oh. That's exactly what I was looking for, a police station key, perfect. Oh, and while I search this police station and check out some of the cool new additions, I wanted to just take a moment to say thank you all so much for helping me get to 100,000 subscribers. We're actually almost at 200K, nearly halfway there, and I just wanted to ask, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It's free, it helps me out a ton, and not to mention, but only 9% of my total viewers are actually subscribed. Plus, I tend to read almost all my comments on every upload, so if you just subscribed, let me know in the comments below. I'll thank you myself. Also, one last thing. In recent updates on build 42 of Zomboid, the developers removed the fortress you see in this video from the map. So, in light of this series, I've went ahead and brought it back. If you're interested, I'll have the workshop mod link along with all the other mods I've used in this video in the description below. Anyways, back to it. Ooh. Oh, it spawned with a key in it, bro. That's sick. I've had some good luck. I found a car. Oh, wait, there's a key on the ground for this one too. Hold on. Have gas in it too? It does have gas. This is crazy. I'm getting so much luck right now with cars. So I took my new Jeep around to the police station to begin transferring loot from my old car to the new one. Then, once my car had all its loot and gas transferred over to it, I parked just out front to make quick runs back and forth from the armories to transfer all the guns and ammo into the trunk and some of the seats of my car. Now that I had completed some of my first initial goals, I would need to stock up on some food for the road ahead. So I made my way over to the grocery store in West Point to grab all kinds of canned food and things things that I would later be able to cook with, such as dried beans, lentils, peas, and flour. And soon enough, I would begin to get tired, so I would need to find a place to rest for the night. And after returning to my car to unload my inventory, I would head back inside the store and up the stairs to sleep in the manager's office. Now I had everything I needed to make my journey over to Louisville and survive out the back of my car for the next few days. I had guns, ammo, food, and plenty of supplies stocked up on in the back of my car. So I began my journey over the bridge outside of West Point and stopped for a moment to clear out some zombies next to a police barricade. Then I would put on some cool new drip and search the trunks of these police cars for any more shotgun ammo or police vests. And then I jumped into my car to continue further up the road.
I should probably take a look to see what the clearest path is to get to where I need to go. Okay, so we are right about here. We need to go all the way down to the checkpoint, which is going to be the biggest struggle because we need to go all the way to this here. We're way over there. The only problem is to get there, we have to go through the checkpoint. So if I can find a sledgehammer, then I can skip the checkpoint. But if I don't, I might have to go through the checkpoint, and I don't want to have to do it.
So with the route in mind, I would take some slight detours around the outskirts of the main road, just in case I could potentially find a sledgehammer spawn. And unfortunately, even after searching a handful of neighborhoods and roads, I never came across a single one. So I gave up for now and would just have to fight my way through the checkpoints. And when I arrived at the first blockade, there were a few stragglers wandering around, so I quickly cleared them before removing the roadblocks and heading inside. Then as I approached the second gate, I noticed a handful of zombies scattered all around the entrance and just beyond the fence. So I pulled my car up a little further and began clearing out the checkpoint of all its inhabitants. After sticking around the checkpoint overnight, I looted whatever I could from the gun lockers and decided I would maybe come back another time once I had a sledgehammer. But for now, I would hop in my car and assess my surroundings and then take another peek at the map to figure out a route I could take to my build spot. Now, in order to build and take over such a massive structure I was heading to, I would need a lot of supplies. I got everything I need prior back in West Point, but I still needed a bunch of materials such as nails and tools for carpentry and crafting. Plus, it wouldn't hurt to find some seeds so I could later make a farm. For now, I would pass up this gun store, marking it on my map to return to later, and I planned to loot the hardware store right next door. However, my car was pretty stocked up on supplies and was running out of storage, so I would have to be a little strategic on the loot I would take for now. But first, I cleared out a small horde of zombies just outside the store.
Oh man, I'm an animal. You want some? Jesus. Alright.
Then I would take a short rest in my car and enjoy a can of carrots before heading inside the store. Now, I was pretty much after anything I can get my hands on because in Build 42, they added so much new crafting recipes and tools for things. So I hauled everything in my inventory and jumped back into my car.
I have nowhere to store shit. I'm a hoarder, man. I got him. I'm taunted by the loot. I should check the fire department for an axe.
Yeah, I genuinely have a problem. I am seriously taunted by loot. You know what they say? No loot left behind. And even though I was extremely heavy load and had nowhere else to store things in my car, I was happy to have stopped at the fire station because I managed to find a couple axes.
Alright, we have to drive right to the building. Yes, my build spot, that place. And if I see a trailer along the way, I'm grabbing it because I could really use a trailer.
So with everything stowed away in my car, there was no more stopping. I needed to get to this fortress. I generally could not wait to take this place over and transform it into something of a home. Honestly, I don't know why I've never based here before. Maybe because it's far away and it's hard to get to, but it doesn't matter. I have so many plans for this place, which we will discuss later once we get there.
And here we are. We finally made it. And it looks like there's going to be some zombies we have to clear out of here. So I'm going to try to pull up a little further. I also don't want them to break that gate. Here they come. Bro, look how cool this place is too. I don't know why I've never like actually lived here. We gotta put a tent up and just sleep for now. This is too risky to fight. All right, hopefully no zombies get me in the middle of the night.
A night well rested and waking up to a foggy morning. Now all that was ahead of me was clearing out this castle of all of its zombies. But of course, I might have underestimated just how long this would take me.
Oh shit, look at this place. It's full of zombies too. All right, we got to do a lot of work to clear this out. How are we doing on ammo right now? 4 more bullets, 2 more boxes. I think I might have some more in the truck, but we are getting close to running out. Pretty much all of them. There's like maybe a few, like that guy, this guy right here. They're just they're on the outsides. Probably sweep around the outside. Maybe the following day. I have to rest, and I've taken some minor damage. Nonetheless, this place is now ours, and I have many plans for this place. Soon, I'm gonna build something, probably a house of sorts, in the middle of the field. Put some animals here, and yeah, maybe then we'll also fix up the walls, clean up all the bodies on the ground. Got a lot of things to do. But I'm excited because I have a lot of room to work with here. Maybe I'll set up my house of sorts, my base of sorts, kind of like in this area. I'm gonna be working out of this area a lot. I was gonna start maybe unloading my truck or my Jeep and start putting things in here. But I have to try to find like right like this. I can put in a spot right here maybe. So let's just start by unloading things for right now.
So now that I had the castle and this entire place to myself, I could finally start working on turning this into my home. But of course, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. First off, I would begin with rearranging furniture and some crates to this side of the castle wall to act as a sort of temporary living space. Then, once I was done, I would begin unloading my car of all the loot I had inside to start sorting away in the boxes. I would then also explore the castle a little to see what resources or stuff was here that I could later use. Thankfully, one really useful thing I found was a couple of rain barrels I could use to collect water with. I took my chances at moving one outside, even though I had a 45% chance of failure, and thankfully luck was on my side. Then, after some time had passed and everything inside my temporary home was systematically set up, I would take my car and an axe over to the nearby tree line and begin collecting some wood.
Oh my god, that noise! Is that what it sounds like when you cut a tree down now? My god, that is horrifying.
So I collected as many trees as my car could hold and would return back to base to sleep off the night. And a bright new day with plenty of work ahead of us. I would start off by eating some food that was beginning to go stale, and then finish unloading my car of all the logs I had gathered. Then afterwards, I would mess around with some of the new crafting stations Build42 added, such as this chopping block, and then look through all the new crafting recipes.
I think I know what I'm gonna do. At first, I wasn't so sure how I was gonna design this base, but I think I know what I want to do now. So back in this area here, I think what I want to do is I want to add like a bit of a pen for animals, because there's already some feeding troughs back there. It seems like it's kind of intended maybe for horses, but you know, we'll put some animals there. We'll build our house right down in this area here, right next to it. With a garage as well, and right across from us we'll have a little farm of sorts, and then all the empty space around us will be, you know, just for other projects. Maybe we have a lot of space to work with, but we have to go loot the town because we don't really have a whole lot of like tools to spare. We don't have a lot of nails, and I also need to get my carpentry skill up.
Anyways, like I said, I would need to head into town so I could begin working on constructing my new base. I stopped at a hardware store on the way here, but I didn't manage to get enough supplies for the project I had in mind, so I did some last minute preparations and then took my car back towards town. Now, this is probably when I remembered just how insane the zombie population is in Louisville. I passed by the mall on my way into town, but honestly, I am not ready for this. Maybe one day I can get pretty heavily into blacksmithing and then try to clear this place out with some cool new crafted weapons.
Oh my, oh my, oh, what? What? What's that? My car just got thrown across the parking lot.
Yeah, so I would mindlessly drive around the mall for a moment before I came up with an actual plan. First off, I need to find a bookstore and hardware store that I could effectively loot. That's when I realized the mall has these and more, but I can't manage this just yet. And then I noticed that there was actually both of these types of stores actually not that far away, in its own shopping plaza. But before I went to check it out, I would stop at a gas station and clear it out, because I was also looking for any mechanics stuff and generic supplies like cigarettes and gas cans.
I think I already have mechanics too as well. I need to loot that. There's a bookstore in the mall that I could go to. That's the closest one to me, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to loot it. Gotta see there's another bookstore near here. There is a hardware store. Oh yeah. Okay, I know where to go. Go to the lot right across from here. And just up here, there should be a bookstore and a hardware store. Yep, there's the hardware store. Zombies in there. We'll try to lead most of them away.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting these stores to have this many zombies hiding inside, so I would try luring all the zombies that were pouring into the parking lot a little further north so it would be a tad bit easier to clear.
Oh my. Oh. Okay, there was a lot more in this plaza than I thought there would be. Yeah, there's just a little bit of zombies, not that many. I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna like have to send it and try to take on a large group of them, honestly. There's just so many. But I do need to get into that hardware store right there. Oh my god. What do I do? There's so many. I need to get away. Getting late. Getting hungry. I'm tired and getting a little exerted. Ugh. Just to loot this one hardware store, this one building. We gotta do quite the tricks. I might need to go find a place to sleep for the night. Try to sneak into one of these houses, maybe? You gotta be kidding me. Just try to take a low profile and get back to my car. Honestly, maybe this is a good sign. Maybe this is a good omen.
Yeah, I guess I had underestimated how hard it would actually be to clear all the zombies. I did manage to lure a good amount of them further away, but I had to call it quits because I had gotten too tired to keep going. So I pulled away for now to drive back home and unload my car before getting some rest and preparing for another attempt. But of course, just when I was ready to head back into town, the helicopter event had begun. So I decided I would just hang out at base until it was over. But because I screwed up my sleep schedule in game, I was stuck wide awake at base at 1 AM. So I took the time to go for a light jog and sprint around the house.
This is why I play without sleep required. I guess I could like run, just like run around and sprint. Oh, I ran into a wall. I didn't see it. All right, we gotta run out in the courtyard.
In the morning, I would jump back into my car and head into town to give another try at looting the hardware store and bookstore. And when I got there, I would hop out my car and try clearing this out one last time.
Oh no, my hammer. Now I know what I need to do. All right, we're gonna take this van, or not the van. We're gonna take this taxi because I just got a key for it, and I'm gonna see if I can manage to just, you know, use it as a cheeky little classic weapon. Oh, bro, it has gas. Okay, well, ooh, bro, the amount of cars I found with keys in them is crazy. As much as I would like the storage, I might honestly just use it as a weapon. I think at this point, I just kind of want to kill all these zombies off in this store and speed it along. So we're just gonna do a little bit of memeing for a minute. Oh my god, where are all these zombies so immediately coming from? Almost there. And 1%. That van has served us well. Oh, finally, we're in the warehouse. Now let's get the heck out of here and let's quick as we can, grabbing literally everything at this point. I don't care. I don't want to come back here. I've had enough of this shit.
So now at the shopping plaza fully mine, I would take this opportunity to loot as much as I can from the hardware store and fill up my car. I would do multiple trips back and forth as I would leave no loot behind. I wanted everything from this place, so there was no reason to come back here later on. Then with my car fully stocked, I would head back to drop off all the loot and later return for looting the bookstore. And when I got home, I would sort everything into my boxes back at base. The following day, I would return to town and finish up looting the bookstore. Also, I had done so much damage to my car's engine up until now, and I could benefit from upgrading my car to something with a little bit more storage capacity. So after looting all the books I needed, I would search around the nearby area for a replacement car, and luckily I found a nice sized van I could swap with. So I transferred everything over and tried towing my old car, and I would stop at the food store to clean up everything I had left behind. Unfortunately though, towing my old Jeep wasn't exactly easy, so I would have to ditch it. And when I returned home, I would also do the same thing as always, sort all my loot before bed, and then in the morning I would unload the back of my new van. But I realized I was starting to run out of storage at my base, so I would check around the castle walls for any more boxes I could use and take. And for a little, I would pretty much just stick around the base and do some minor loot management and cleaning up the mess on the ground. I also pretty much had everything I needed for now, but eventually I would still need to go back to town for things like a generator, food, and a handful of other random stuff like the damn sledgehammer I still haven't found yet. But I would take this moment to begin reading all the books I could to give myself some nice XP boosts when performing tasks.
So I figured that this area here, kind of where my car and stuff is, will probably be for animals, just because it already has animal feeds there and like a little like rain, I don't know, awning thing. But over here, maybe just right across, we'll set up a little bit of a farm area. So we'll start digging some furrows.
In Build 42, they added actual growing seasons to the game, so I would start with planting carrots because they have a better sowing time in the month I was currently in. Then I would head up to the river near my base and fill up on some water to give to my plants. Also, I figured I may as well plant some broccoli and sweet potatoes because they also had the same boost from planting in this current month. However, I will warn you, don't get your hopes up on these crops because after playing this entire time, these crops never even became harvestable. I don't know why, but crops actually take ages to grow now in this game. But anyways, after this, I would head back into town to fill up on some gas at the gas station because it was a matter of time until the power would go out, and I would just spend some time going all around the town looting anything I could because soon I wanted to start building my base, and I didn't want to have to keep doing loot runs back and forth while I was building. I always find it easier to do all the looting in one go, stocking up on anything I could possibly use, and then get to building. Also, while I was out, I found a storage complex that I broke into, and after killing a zombie while in there, one of them actually had a key on them, and after checking some of the units, it unlocked one that had a generator behind it.
Generator! Let's go. That's what I was looking for. Let's take this generator with us.
So I would take the generator back to my car and put it away. Then when I came back, the next storage unit I went inside also had a generator behind it. This one would be perfect for putting at the gas station later, but I would just move it closer to the fence so I can come and grab it another time. And once it started getting dark, I would begin heading back home. However, on my way back, I came across an animal trailer.
Is that like an animal trailer? Like, it looked like one. Oh, there's a fucking goat right there. Wait, hold on a second. We gotta take these guys home with us. What the f? Where are these coming from? Oh, look at the little baby ram. Little baby goat. Run, boy, run. We'll come back here and get some goats tomorrow or something.
Since I was getting too tired to fight the zombies, I would just call it for now and return tomorrow. So I would go and get some sleep, and after a good night's rest, I would use this opportunity to organize my plans going forward, and make a little goals list for myself in the in-game map. I had accomplished some of these things already, but if you're like me, I tend to get pulled in all different directions when playing this game. One moment I'm working on one thing, and the next I'm doing something completely different.
Hey, get out of the road. You're gonna get hit by a car, man.
Anyways, later in the day, I would go back to the animal trailer I had left behind and clear out some zombies around it. Then I would check the contents of the trailer, and I found that there were still 3 sheep inside that I could rescue and bring back home with me. And with a little bit of persistence, I unhitched the trailer, attached it to my van, and began towing them back home. Now, all I need to do is be very, very careful with turning too quickly.
Oh my god! No, my lambs! What the fuck? Oh no, are they still alive? God, okay, they are okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I flipped the trailer, but luckily they were okay. I would try to unflip it back over, but no matter what I did for the next 5 minutes, I couldn't get it back upright, and I just had to listen to the poor guys shuffling around inside there.
How do I go about flipping them back over? Do I just hit it? These poor animals! Oh, these poor animals in there. Maybe if I like full hit that thing. Oh, close. Okay. I'm just doing more damage to my man more than anything, bro. Come on. Dude, Come on. You're almost there. I grab him. Oh yeah, he's in my hand. Okay, I guess we'll have to do it this way. Be back for the others soon.
So instead of pinballing this trailer around, I figured that I could just remove the sheep from the trailer and carry them back to my base. So I would do that and set up an animal zone to keep them inside of.
I just need to make a zone where they'll be from here to there. Hey man, sorry that happened. Massive balls on them.
Once all the sheep were back home, I would need to start working out a pen to make sure they wouldn't wander off. So I spent a few hours sawing logs and then started building some fence walls to make up an animal pen. However, this would get my carpentry up a few levels, so I would need to go and read the next carpentry book. Then I would go back to building the fence walls. However, I would go back around and rebuild some of the dingy looking ones from when I had a lower carpentry level. I had also ran out of planks, so I would return back to the tree line and grab some more logs. I would get pretty tired out, so I would return back home and sleep off the night, and in the morning I would go back and chopping down some more trees. Later, I had gotten back to building up the animal pen, and I would also start mapping out some of the walls to my base. Then I would spend another few hours sawing logs until it was pretty late. And I will say, I kinda regret not finishing it sooner, but I would forget to wall in the rest of the animal pen and start getting a little bit more focused on mapping out the structure to my home. I also used some of the wood to construct some new crafting stations like a butcher hook, a softening beam for leather making, and a tanning barrel in case I wanted to start hunting soon and producing leather. See what I mean by I always jump from one thing to another? I seriously have a problem. Anyways, I would pretty much get back to placing down the wall frames to make up my house.
Hey, get back in your pen. Where are you going? Oh. I'm missing one. Where'd he go? Okay, so there's a sheep somewhere in this base. He's lurking around here somewhere.
Yeah, I might have gotten a little carried away with building my house that I had forgot to finish up the walls to my animal pen, and how some of the sheep began wandering away. I found 2 of them, but one of them was nowhere to be seen. I even checked all around the castle walls and even the roof, but I couldn't find it. So for now, I would just give up searching for him because maybe he would just turn up at some random point. No way it could have gone that far, right? Anyways, with the base walls mapped out, I would start constructing the layout to my garage, and I would pretty much work on this for the rest of the day and take the occasional rest and then get back to building. However, I would take my van back out to get some more wood, and this is also when I would stumble across something a little unexpected.
Oh wait, there's my sheep. I found my sheep. What are you doing all the way over here, man? What are you doing over here?
Get back in your pen.
So after returning this guy back to his pen, I needed a small break from building my base. And I will say I'm happy I returned to town, because when I drove through the mall parking lot, I found a sledgehammer that I had been dying for days now.
Yo, sledgehammer. Give me that. Give me this. Give me the other.
Oh my god, I finally found one. Holy shit, man. I've been looking for this for so long. That means now I can go back to that warehouse building that's not far from here. The storage units. Where are they? They're somewhere around here. I can go there and actually break into some more units.
So I would go back to the storage units and pick up the spare generator I had left behind and then toss it in the back of my van. I'd also use the sledgehammer to break into a few rooms part of the storage complex. Truthfully, I don't know what I was looking for. I guess I was just hoping to find something cool or useful to bring back at base, like this TV or workout bench. Since I didn't need to stick around here much longer, I just turned back around and went home to continue working on the base. And when I got home, I placed down a garage door and a few decorative stuff to add to my house. But I was getting way ahead of myself. I still needed to finish the roof and flooring, so thus let us get back to the grind. Yeah, after spending a while building my base, I realized that my food reserves were getting a little low, and I could use something other than canned carrots. And also, because I've never done it before, I kind of wanted to give my first honest try at hunting. So I would take my van out for a drive around the base area to see if I would come across any wildlife, and that's when I would spot my first deer.
Oh, there's a deer. Oh, there's a whole family of them. Oh, there's rabbits there. You can totally see me out in this field, right? Okay, so I can't get too close.
However, the one thing I couldn't figure out was just how close I would need to get to the deer before it began running off. Plus, I think my aiming skill was just kind of shit and I kept missing all my shots. And after losing the deer, I would just drive around in my van until I saw one again. But then I figured, you know, roadkill doesn't taste any different.
There they are. Oh, that's evil. I'm sorry, but that's one way to go hunting.
Hey guys, look, I was just driving in his direction. He's the one who hit me. Anyways, afterwards, I would attach the deer to the butcher hook and inspect all my options I had available. I could do a handful of horrific things, but nonetheless, we have dinner now.
Yeah, I only got 1 venison from this thing. Damn, that kind of sucks. I only got 1 cut of meat. It'll feed me for like a single day.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a bug or just an intentional design, but a fully grown deer only gave me a single slice of meat. That would literally just be enough for 2 meals. I guess we might need to go back out to road killing again. I mean hunting, sorry. Anyways, later on, after cooking up some nice venison stew, I would get back to building up the base and finish up roofing the 2nd floor. Then later in the day, I decided to take my van back into town to look for a new car. This is also when I managed to come across a van with a key, so I would just use this one and leave my old one behind. I would also take a moment to drive around the area and just explore for a little bit. And I'm really glad I did because I suddenly came across a tow truck I could use for hitching cars and easily bringing them back to my base. This especially would be helpful if I ever wanted to get into mechanics. So after clearing up a group of zombies around the tow truck, I would hop inside it and I would find a key in the glove box.
A key. Oh, nice. Oh, it has gas. Let's go.
So with the new tow truck, I would hitch it to my new van and begin towing it back home. I also didn't know it yet, but you can actually lift the towing height and make it easier to tow certain cars. And yeah, that's why it might have just taken me a little bit too long to get home.
Bro, can this thing just fucking tow correctly?
Oh my god. This is gonna really be a problem. Oh, did I not? Is that why? Oh, I'm an idiot, bro. You can raise the height on the towing thing. I think that's what makes it maybe easier.
But nonetheless, when I got home, I would drop off my tow truck and head back out to give hunting another try. Also, just saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Wait, hold on. Hold on a second.
Hey, we got food for the week. Hold on. Oh no, not the babies. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that.
I mean, I can't just kill them and leave them to rot. I have to at least eat them.
Guys, remember, they hit me. I was just the one driving in their direction, okay? It's not my fault a family of 4 ended up underneath my car. Anyways, I would take these rabbits back to my house and begin prepping them for meals down the line. Now, I will probably never go hunting for a fully grown deer again because these 4 rabbits, mind you, some a little smaller than the average size, happened to give me just enough meat to last me a long time. Somehow, 4 rabbits gave me 9 rabbit meat. Either way, I'll be eating good for a little while. And probably for the best because I was starting to lose weight. So later on, I would sleep off the night and then in the morning, I would return back to my schedule, clocking in for another several hours of constructing the flooring to my kitchen space and living room.
There we go. Floor on the inside of the house is done. It's gonna look very rustic, very wooden, which I do want to like kind of do this place up a bit. I want to add some plaster on the walls, maybe paint, but I'm gonna go ahead and do up the kitchen a little bit just so that we can start moving some of our supplies into this house. Because I kind of want to stop living out of the walls of this fort.
And once the flooring was done, I figured I should start putting together the kitchen area so I could properly cook meals here in my new house. And once the counters were built, I would begin transferring all sorts of food and cooking items into the kitchen. And to celebrate the progress so far, I would put together some very nice rabbit and bean stew. This recipe is pretty much what I would live off for a while until I would eventually run out of rabbit meat. And it was perfect because it would allow me to gain weight again. Fully satiated, I would return to work, but this time roofing in the rest of the garage. I also thought to myself I would save the wood and maybe at some point use something else to floor in the garage. Plus, I also wanted to use the wood to make a second floor.
Okay, there we go. And now this space is completely roofed in. Obviously, I have plans for a second floor. I was thinking maybe what we do is we'll have like sort of this whole section here will be like a second floor for the house. Maybe we'll come out a little bit, maybe right here. And maybe this portion will just be like a little rooftop balcony or something. I don't know. I also need to start furnishing this place, starting to bring things in, move my loot over, add a bed upstairs. Yeah, I think we're gonna start working on the second floor right now.
So for a while, I would pretty much do just that. Add wall frames on the second floor, make some food, chop more trees, and then fill in the frames with walls and windows. Then later on, I would take my van to the gas station to fill up on a bunch of gas for when the power would eventually go out. And when I got back, I would start sawing a bunch of logs out front and then finishing walling off the second floor. Once that was done, I now needed to install a roof. So I built a way up to the 3rd floor and would begin closing off the roof to my 2nd floor. Around this time, I would also check up on my sheep to see how they were doing, and I'm not so sure how to get them to reproduce or grow wool or anything for harvesting, but maybe it just takes some time. This is also when I would go and check up on my crops and notice how long these things actually take now to grow. Most of them were still only in the early stages of growing, and just for clarification, I had been here long enough for shrubs and overgrowths to start growing all over my area. But anyways, back to building. I finished closing in the roof to my house, and now I had some spare wood, so I would use that to build some crates behind my stairs. Now, at this point, the bones and foundation to my home was in place. All I had to do now was begin filling in all the empty spaces and make it feel lived in. This is the part of Zomboid I love the most. So to begin, I would transfer a large bed I found inside the castle walls and move it into the second floor. I had also set up some rain collectors on the roofs, which I could later plumb into the sinks below. By now, I had been eating enough rabbit and bean stew that my weight had actually gone back up, and I was no longer underweight. And like I said before, my house was coming together, and all I needed was just to fill in the empty space. To begin, I would take my tow truck into town and pick up a cab that I found in a random lot earlier on, which it had a key in, but I just had never bothered to take it. But now that I was here, I could just use it for extra storage. So I would take it with me and head into the neighborhoods not far away. I needed plenty of furniture to spice things up back at home, so I would raid all these houses for anything I could take. With things shaping up back at home, I started closing in some rooms on the second floor, and I would return to town to continue collecting furniture. And yeah, by this point, I had finished the base. It was built and furnished just how I liked it. First floor had a kitchen and a living space that felt nice. The garage still needed some work, but the second floor was also finished and had a bedroom and bathroom fit for a king. However, I wasn't done yet. I still have some goals I wanted to accomplish in this life, which now takes me to chapter 2. Deep in the forest just outside of Louisville is my castle base, and I've spent the last month and a half converting this dilapidated stronghold into something I can call a home. And currently I'm trying to wrap my head around building this forge to begin blacksmithing some cool new armor. Now you might be wondering why. Well, not far away from here is the Louisville Mall, and this place, well, it's full of the undead. Too many for me to count. They have completely taken over this city, and I want to take it back from them. But it all begins right here at this very mall. However, before we can do all this, we need to go back to where this all left off. So, after spending countless hours building my beautiful 2-story home inside this fortress, I hadn't exactly accomplished everything I had hoped for in this life. Since the new Build 42 update came out, they had added so much more content with crafting and blacksmithing. You could literally forge any tool, weapon, or armor you could possibly need to become fully self-sufficient. Arguably, this is the main thing I need to figure out, since I've never dabbled in this sort of stuff before. Everything was completely new to me and I would have to figure it out as we go. However, this isn't my only goal. First off, in order to do anything with blacksmithing and forging gear, I also needed a handful of things. One being getting my pottery and masonry skill up so I can build and craft certain things needed for metalworking. Secondly, at some point I will need to return to town to collect more books and magazines for unlocking more recipes. And lastly, a few other random things I want to accomplish, like working on my garage, building a proper foraging house, build a road to make trips into town a little easier, and once all is said and done, clear out the entire Louisville Mall.
Let's lay out the plans for right now. Let's see here. So we have all this space, a whole lot of space here to work with. So first of all, I want to build a forge or an area for blacksmithing. And I was thinking maybe I could do that somewhere over here next to my garage. And I also wanted to, you know, build a few things, few extensions to the base, maybe in that same area or somewhere over here. I was thinking of adding like a workshop or like a building for like storing loot. And then maybe I wanted to get some chickens. I wanted to, you know, build a parking lot for more cars. There's so much to do. We have a lot of space to work with, of course, and a lot of loot that needs to be found. But at the end of this, I want to make
one of the coolest armors I possibly can, and I want to clear out that mall. So to begin, I would collect some logs I had previously gathered and had stored in my garage, and then relocate them just outside where I would plan to build a forage and a pottery area. Then I had also knocked out a wall just outside my garage to build a door allowing myself easy access in and out from this side of the base. It was also around this time when I had forgotten and realized that this fortress has a makeshift forge of its own. It wasn't much though, but I figured it could save me some time with setting this all up. It only had a simple furnace, which could be used for smelting down items into raw materials like iron and steel chunks. I could even use this to make glass and casting an anvil, which is pretty cool. But nonetheless, we would have to wait a little while before we can do anything with this stuff.
First of all, we can make a primitive forge with clay, cement, stone, and a stone anvil. Okay, so it's different kinds. Primitive forage and primitive furnace. And then there's a simple forage and a simple furnace, which we actually already have a simple furnace back here, which for some reason you can't relocate them. All right, let's make the charcoal burning pile. We're gonna put that somewhere like right here, I'm thinking. Okay, so now we can burn wood into charcoal. Make stone block from stone. Requires masonry level 1. Oh, okay. Oh boy, this is gonna be a very extensive process, isn't it?
Yeah, I will admit, I had no idea what exactly I was about to get myself into. I didn't know this yet, but I hadn't realized just how annoying and extensive this initial process is. So here's the order of things. Currently, I have a simple furnace that came with this base location, which you already know. Then I learned that I would need to make both a primitive forge and a charcoal pit to begin with. Also, I should mention, I have to give props to Mr. 𝗙𝗏𝗄𝐿 on YouTube for covering a lot of this stuff in a well put together guide. If it weren't for him, I would be completely lost on how to do things. So thanks to him, honestly. But anyways, after I had built the charcoal pit, I now needed both stones and something called stone blocks. Stone blocks will be needed later down the road when we plan to build more advanced blacksmithing stations. Also, not to mention, but before we can do any of this, I'm gonna need to start leveling up my masonry skill. Now, I also wasn't really sure the best way to go about getting stones since it's changed quite a bit in build 42. But I did see that you could go mining for stones at some point, so I would just grab a masonry chisel and a pickaxe and take one of my cars around the area and search for some stone deposits.
So there should be some stone somewhere around here. Oh yeah, here's some right up here. Can I do anything with these nodes here? Crushed limestone and limestone. Oh, okay, cool. Get some limestone from this. I might actually be able to turn these into the stone blocks I needed.
So I would pretty much drive around the area near my base and collect all sorts of mineral deposits for limestone and flint, which could be used to make what I need. However, I was a little confused about this part because no matter what I did, for some reason you can't mine these large stone deposits. I'm not sure if this was an intentional design or not, but it would be cool to be able to mine these and get tons of stones from them. Maybe that will happen down the road, who knows. But since this was a dead end, I still needed to figure out where else I can get stones from. Although for now I would take all the limestone and flint I had gathered so far and return back to base.
We got charcoal, we got flint and stones, and now we should be able to like turn these things into stone nodes, I think. Oh, that's right, I need level 1 masonry. Okay, how do I get masonry then? All right, let's just sleep real quickly. We're getting tired.
Yeah, so I will need to find a way to get my masonry skill up, but in the meantime, I would head upstairs to sleep off the night and get back to the grind in the morning. Then I would go through my base storage and gather all sorts of masonry and metalworking tools to lay out next to where my blacksmithing area will be. And then I would put together some food inside my kitchen before just jumping around from thing to thing. I will admit the crafting stuff at first was a little overwhelming, and I was just interested in looking at all of the sorts of different recipes and things I could do, and just pretty much try to figure out what I needed. But then later in the day, I would take a trip towards the direction of town to look for stones, and I had noticed that nature was beginning to take over, completely plaguing the fields with bushes and new trees. It doesn't seem like it yet, but this overgrowth will eventually make me go insane. But anyways, I would approach the forest just before reaching the city, and I had noticed that there were a bunch of rocks scattered all around the forest floor, so I would hop out of my car and check one out.
Oh, found a large stone. Ah, it's one of those big things. It's too heavy for me to carry for some reason. Hold on, let me move some things into my bag. Can I pick you up now? Surely I can pick you up, right? There we go. That is a heavy rock.
Fortunately, I now had found a method for collecting stones, which I could use for crafting the primitive forge and stone blocks. So I would load up my van with plenty of stones and begin heading back to base.
All right, we have, I think, all the stones I feel like I would need for now. Let's head back home, sleep off the night a little bit, and then we'll try to nap some of these stones and get our masonry skill up. I'm pretty sure you can take those really large stones, the ones that are like 40 encumbrance, and then you can turn them into like 12, I think, large stones each. So should work, and that should hopefully get my masonry skill up. Now it's just me versus the bushes and trying to drive home without getting stuck on one. My next video, Mr. Brollow kills every single bush population.
And with a day ahead of us, I began sorting out the stones I had collected the night prior, and I would begin napping the larger stones into smaller stones, which I had then also realized that napping stones doesn't give you XP in masonry at all. It's almost like I completely glanced over the fact that napping has its own skill tree. Yeah. Well, anyways, I guess we were at a standstill for now because I didn't know an effective way to level up my masonry skill at this current moment. But I had put all this blacksmithing stuff to the side because I had made a mental note to return to town and loot the gun store near the mall. Speaking of which, ammo was going to be extremely useful for clearing out the mall later on, so I made sure to grab it all and leave nothing behind. Then I would transfer everything into the back of my truck and head back home before it got too late. I also made the decision to steal a small car in a parking lot along the way because I could use this back in my house to practice all my mechanic skills. Now, just for reference, I had hitched my car to this tow truck at 12 a.m. and because of these damn bushes, I hadn't gotten home until 4 a.m. in game. I really need to exterminate these bushes or at least build a damn road.
Just drive right there. Come on, I've been doing this for 3 hours in game. Finally home, but still taking so long just to drag this car through the dirt.
So in the morning, I would go ahead and just sort through all my loot and do a little bit of base management before heading back into town. At this current moment, I was primarily looking for cement, which I needed for crafting and building masonry objects. There was a small construction district not far away from where I was, and it was actually right near the mall. So I would take my van over to this area and almost drive straight into a car wreck.
Okay. Put those cars there. What's the chance there's something in there? Do I have my sledgehammer? I do. Nice.
I'm a f***ing animal. You want some too?
Oh, man. There's still more of you.
I began clearing the zombies in the area, but I had planned to search all these houses to see if there were any cement bags laying around. However, all I managed to find were tools, metal sheets, and planks. Not exactly what I was looking for, but I will actually make a mental note to come back here at some point because these metal sheets could be useful later down the road. But anyways, I would also explore another construction site not far away, but it was beginning to get pretty dark out and suddenly hundreds of zombies began pouring out of the buildings nearby. So I would cut my losses for now and just return back home.
Alright, screw this. We're going home. This was a bust. Too many zombies. Oh my god. Did like a million just like spawn or something? Oh my god, what? Oh my god. How'd I clip on that street pole?
In the morning, I would check up on my crops I had planted over a month ago and noticed that my broccoli was starting to reach the final stages before harvesting. However, my other crops were still a little behind, but I would be able to harvest these at some point soon. I would also take a moment to check up on my sheep, and then I figured, you know what, I'm gonna take a break for a little while and just go try out fishing for a change. So I crafted a makeshift fishing rod, and I would take my car over to the lake and give this a try. The recent update had completely overhauled the way fishing works, and it even added its own minigame. I will say, I'm a big fan of the way this feels, and thank God it's not as annoying as Stardew Valley's fishing minigame. Yeah, don't even get me started on that one.
Hole in this fish. No! Release tension, release tension. Okay.
Don't break my line. Don't you do it. Stop going so far away.
He's fighting me, man. Oh yeah, we got him. Ooh, a channel catfish. Ooh, 60 for hunger. That's really good.
So after fishing, I would return home and put away the fish in my freezer, and then return to my blacksmithing area to mess around with some clay molding. I had some clay sacks laying around in my base, which I had found earlier on in my run, and I was able to use some of this clay to create some tile molds. However, I was going to need to build a kiln in order to fire these and actually be able to use them.
All right, sick. So I just made some clay tiles. Let's make an advanced kiln. Apparently it costs the exact same as that, which is pretty ironic. Sweet. So now we have a clay kiln.
But unfortunately, it had gotten too dark outside to continue working, since now you need a light to actually perform some tasks like actually using the clay kiln. So I decided to just go to bed and sleep off the night and return to this in the morning. But I had unintentionally woken up at 5 a.m. while it was still dark outside. So I just grabbed the flashlight and used it to brighten up the area and began firing up some of these clay tiles in the kiln.
I just fired up some clay tiles. All right, so we still need to find cement. That is the only downside. Oh man, leveling up masonry is actually such a process.
Okay, so this is where it got a little complicated. Even if I wanted to make a primitive forge, I would also need to get my masonry skill up to level 2 so I can craft something called a stone anvil, which is needed for the primitive forge. The only problem was I was lacking the needed skill books to give myself enough of a boost to quickly get to level 2 in masonry. Plus, not to mention, but I was still looking for bags of concrete. So I later came up with a plan to take my car into town and loot some warehouses. Now, there is one particular warehouse building I knew of, but it was on the far opposite side of Louisville from me, so I had quite the drive ahead of me. I began loading up my van and took a shotgun with plenty of ammo with me, and I would begin heading into town. I had also planned to make a stop at the gas station along the way since my car was almost out of fuel. However, as I pulled up to the gas station, it seemed like a lot of zombies had migrated into the area, so I did what I could to kill off a good amount of them before I would get too exerted to continue. I would hop back into my van to rest for a moment and regain my strength before fighting off the rest of the horde.
These zombies everywhere. Oh my god, I gotta clear this whole place out again.
Well, I will do what I must.
Okay, I'm hoping they're going that direction towards the gunshots and they're not gonna come to me. I'm just gonna sneak on back. Just gonna sneak on back.
So yeah, I unfortunately couldn't kill off all the zombies near the gas station for right now, so I chose to just return to it later. I also couldn't waste much time since I needed to get to the warehouse building, which was the sole reason why I came out here. Luckily, I had found this new van here in the parking lot, and I was able to hotwire it and then transfer some gas and all my items into it. I had to siphon some gas from a few cars in the parking lot, but I had enough gas for now to at least get me to where I was heading. So I took off in my new van, and eventually I made it all the way to the warehouse building. However, when I got there, I wasn't expecting just how many zombies there would be here at this warehouse. So I guess let's get to zombie clearing.
A survivor zombie? Oh yeah, he's got some shit on him. Got some old cowboy western boots on him too. I gotta come back for that guy. Got the drip. Kinda late. I think it would be wise if I maybe try to find a building to sleep off the night in, or I could just sleep in my car.
Bright new day and back to zombie killing.
Look at this place. I am really hoping I'm finding what I need here because this is a massive warehouse. Yeah, we're gonna be spending quite a little while just looting this entire place of everything it has.
Finally, I had the warehouse to myself and could loot everything in here. Now, if you didn't know, the reason why I chose this warehouse was because it had a little bit of everything. Food, clothing, books, tools, and materials alike. This was especially good because I managed to find the masonry books I needed, and I even came across a handful of tools and supplies I was also after, like cement and alcohol. The alcohol will be needed later down the road when I plan to clear the mall, and also to help with taking the edge off in case I get a little too sad. Oh, and I got this really cool hat. Anyways, I would do multiple trips from the warehouse to my van and filling up all my car storage with as much loot as it could hold. I would have to deal with the occasional lurker or two, but in the end, we finished looting everything I could manage to fit in my car and would begin heading back home. And after a long and exhausting drive home, I would avoid unloading my van until the morning and place all the alcohol I had in my inventory into the kitchen. Then I would head up to bed and sleep off the night. And with a new day ahead of us, I started off the morning by cooking up a delicious rabbit soup. I still had a little bit of rabbit meat left from my previous hunting venture, but I would soon need to stock up on some more protein. I think for a change, I might just live off fish from the river because I actually enjoy the fishing mechanic. But anyways, later on, I would start off by giving myself a well-needed bath and clean off all my clothes, since it had probably been over a month since I've given myself a proper bath. Then on the following day, I would begin sorting all my loot I had gotten from the warehouse and putting everything away in the boxes and cabinets around my base. And after everything was put away, I returned to my blacksmithing area where I would start crafting some bags of gravel. Now, this isn't something you can do in the vanilla game, but I had a mod that actually expands on some quality of life features like this one. It was pretty handy because now I was able to make some gravel flooring around my base, and I also intend on using it to finishing up the floor in my garage. But for now, I would head inside to begin reading the first masonry book to get an XP boost.
Finally, we have a XP boost in masonry. So now when I go and break up some stones and craft some gravel bags and such, I might be able to finally level up to level 1 and then actually build what I've been needing to build this entire time. Leveling up masonry, actually so hard.
So I began crushing up some stones and making gravel bags until I got masonry level 1. And finally, now I could craft stone blocks, which I also needed later on for a few other things. And without hesitation, I crafted a few of these, and in result, I was able to get my masonry skill up to level 2. I would then also go and read the next series of masonry books and then repeat the process. But not long after, I was able to get my masonry skill up to almost level 4 before I ended up getting a little distracted with unloading my van. I began placing a few little decorative things I had found in my travels, like this gnome and a flamingo.
Got a flamingo.
I had also built some composters near the farm, and then I would return back to my blacksmithing area and start working on building a stone anvil.
Okay, and there we go. We have a stone anvil used to build a primitive forage, useless on its own. So now I can make this guy, which I just need some more stones. Now I'm just missing clay cement, which I'm pretty sure I can make because I now have sandbags. How do I do it? It's all right. So we just need some clay and we just take one out. Now we need water, which I have some buckets here. Let's see here. I should be able to make the clay. But I have the water. Is it not working because it's considered tainted water? I have the sandbags. I have the clay. It's actually not counting because it's considered tainted water. And I have to use normal water. Okay. Well, that's just annoying. All right. Let me just drop this back down here for right now. We'll go boil this water and we make it now. What? I'm confused. Does it need to be 0 out of 10? Do I have it backwards? Is it just meant to be an empty bucket?
Yeah, at first I thought the issue was the clay cement required non-tainted water, so I went to boil it at my stove, but even after trying that, it just didn't seem to let me craft it no matter what I did. I was literally at this for 20 minutes.
Bro, it's actually just like not working. I can't craft what I need to. Okay, I've literally tried everything. I don't know what's happening. I have both the bucket full with water, because apparently it has to be not tainted water. I have an empty bucket. I have the resources I need to craft this thing, but it still thinks it's missing. I don't know what's happening, but I just can't craft this item, and I need it in order to progress. How is this not working? If this is needed for doing a big step in the process of this of blacksmithing. What am I doing something wrong? I have to be doing something wrong, right?
And eventually I figured that this was probably just a bug at the time, and later I learned that you could just substitute clay cement with concrete. So I went ahead and tried to craft that, and thankfully this had worked unlike the other.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can use just like maybe just a bucket of concrete. Like, can I make buckets of concrete at all? I have concrete powders. Let's see. Okay, let's fill this with some water. Empty bucket. Okay, so there it lets me create concrete. I can right click it and do it. Can I do it when I'm over here? Now, can I use this to make anything in blacksmithing? Okay, I might actually be able to. I think I can get away from using the clay cement. Apparently clay cement just doesn't work. You can't craft it, but you can craft concrete powder. Or bucket of concrete. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense, but you know what, it is what it is.
I would go ahead and build a simple forge, and right away, I was presented with a whole bunch of possible crafting options. I will admit, it may look a little overwhelming, but it's pretty simple, if you just ignore like 90% of what the crafting menu shows you. First off, you can smelt down an assortment of items to get their raw materials, and then with those, you can take them over to the forge and craft iron or steel bars in a variety of sizes. Then we take these and we can now craft tools or some weapons like a small knife. And I found that you could just craft these over and over to level up your metalworking skill. It's sort of a way to grind XP while not having to invest a large amount of resources. So to begin with, I went ahead and read a metalworking book to get the XP boost I needed, and then I would return to my forge and start crafting a small knife.
Yep, there we go. Okay, we got some XP in metalworking, so now the next one should get us to level 2 for sure. Yep, there we go. Oh, we just learned a whole lot of recipes too by doing that. So now I think I can actually take these knives and bring it back to the furnace over here, and I should be able to smelt them back down. Okay, so now we have an anvil mold. Now I should be able to forge an anvil, probably in here, right? Can I make an anvil in here? No. Was it over here in the furnace? Yeah. Okay, so I can craft an anvil. Wait, what? I need a ceramic one? Oh, that's right, because I need to put clay in this and then fire it. Okay, I have to do it over here.
Okay, so just for clarification, I now had level 1 in metalworking, and I was almost halfway to level 2. However, I had gotten a little confused here at this part, and I'm gonna be honest, this took me so long to figure out. I'm just so dense, man. I swear, I don't know. But anyways, I now had something called a wooden anvil mold, which is needed for making a ceramic anvil mold, which is then used for casting an iron anvil. However, what I did not know was how to make the ceramic one. I spent so long trying to search every little crafting UI and menu just to figure this out. But it turns out you need something called a hand press, which is used for putting clay into molds. Funny thing is, it literally says it on the hand press in the crafting menu, but only if it just said it on the wooden anvil mold itself. That would have saved me so much time. But either way, I eventually figured this out. In the meantime, I thought I was literally missing a recipe or a magazine that I needed to unlock this. I even convinced myself that this must be the problem, and I decided I needed to go back into town to look for more magazines. Yeah, what a freaking rabbit hole. Now, with that being said, I made the dumbest decision that I could. You know what? Let's just go to the Louisville University, I said. It'll be fine. I'll just drive right up there and grab all sorts of books and stuff, and I'll be right on my way out. Yeah, no, not even close.
Is this it? Is one of these are the... This is the dormitory. This one. Fuck me, bro. Fuck me.
At first, I kind of regretted this, but I could really benefit myself from actually looting this library, and even if I could get inside, I would probably be able to get every single missing skill book and magazine that I don't have yet. So, you know what? That's exactly what I plan to do.
So fucking crazy, the amount of zombies here. Dude, this is like not even worth it. It's just bringing more zombies here. Where are all y'all coming from? Wait a minute. Actually, hold on. Hopefully.
I had just found an ambulance, which I could use as a distraction to lure zombies away from the university, which was only a few blocks away. So after switching on the siren, I would drive a little further up the road and find a place I could rest for a moment while I would watch the zombies begin collecting around the ambulance. And then I would get back to working my way into that library.
Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, we lost our tire. Please have gas. Nice. Bro, another f***ing tire? Oh my god! Woo! Oh my god, how did I get out of there? Oh my god, look at them all over here. It's time to set them ablaze. Oh my god, it's time to throw a Molotov right in that mosh pit there. Can't even tell if the fire even went off or not. There's just so many here. This is insane. Maybe we could sneak in right here. Oh my god, there's so many books in here, dude. It's insane. Medieval armory? Forging. There's so many books here. I should take a note of which books I don't have and do have. Cracking.
So I had finally managed to get inside the library, and I didn't waste any time. I looted every book and magazine I didn't already have, but I had to be quick because there was still a bunch of zombies in the area, and not long later, zombies began pouring in and finding their way to me. So I made a run for it, and I got back to my truck, and I figured, you know what, it's time to finally go home. I had spent almost 2 hours here trying to clear this place out, and you know what, I miss my castle. But with all the magazines and extra skill books, I should be able to craft almost everything now. But on my way home, I had forgot that I had left my gas station nearby uncleared. So I spent a little bit of time just hot wiring some cars I found in a parking lot, and then I would use them as weapons to clear out the zombies next to the gas station. It took a little while, but I was finally able to refill my truck at the gas station.
Oh, what? All right. Oh, they just keep coming in tiny little stragglers. Just screw off, please. I don't want any more of this. I want it to end. I just want gas. I just want to get out of here. All right, I think that's majority, if not all of them, at least in the closest vicinity to the gas station. I'm gonna pull around right here, turn on the gas, the generator, and then fill up and get out of here. All right, and there we go.
You know, I'm just thinking about it now with all the work I had to do to clear out the library, the school. I'm kind of dreading looking forward to having to clear out the entire mall. That thing's gonna be a pain because not all of them are gonna be able to navigate out of the mall either.
So yeah, not long later, I began driving home, and I noticed that the overgrowth leading to my base was really starting to get out of hand. At some point, I will need to build a road to make trips in and out of town a little easier. But in the meantime, I had unloaded my truck of all the new books and magazines I had gotten from the library, and then I would read everything I could given my current levels, including all the new magazines I had just gotten. This is also what I had later realized that I actually never needed to go to the library in search of magazines, because all I needed to craft the ceramic anvil was the hand press.
Oh, I'm kind of kind of annoyed about this. I'm really hoping that this is not the case. Oh my god. Okay. This entire time, all I needed was a hand-operated press. That's all I needed. Why are these things not just made clear? I went through all the hassle of clearing out the... Oh man, I'm broken inside.
I made the ceramic anvil mold, and then I would take it over to the kiln where I would fire it. Now, I could use this to make an anvil, but I still needed like 16 iron bar halves. I didn't really have much of a surplus of metal right now to make this, so I would plan to head into town at some point to get some more. But for now, I was sick of being away from home, so I would just do a little bit of work around the base, opening up a way for me to drive my car in and out of the castle, and then I started laying dirt around to act as a road or a pathway for my cars, also in the hope to stop bushes and stuff from growing everywhere. And then I started laying dirt around to act as a road or a pathway for my cars, also in the hope to stop bushes and stuff from growing everywhere. But then later in the night, I would take my truck into town and return to the construction area where I had found a bunch of metal sheets when I was here last.
God, there's so many sheets in this place. This is actually so good. Gotten like close to 40 sheets now from just looting like these houses. Yeah, there we go. Almost over 40 sheets. We're not even done looting this place entirely.
And with my car full of metal sheets, I would begin heading back home.
Oh my god.
Okay, finally back home. For all those shrubs and trees. All right, let's unload all the sheets next to the the furnace, and start smelting them down, hopefully, into what we can use for making the anvil.
I began unloading my truck of metal sheets, and I would drop them near the furnace. Then I would smelt these down into an iron chunk. Once I had over 20 of these, I would return over to my primitive forge and then craft these into something called an iron bar half. Unfortunately, 20 iron chunks wasn't enough to make the anvil, so I would repeat the process, and then soon enough, I had everything I needed to make the anvil.
Okay, we can finally craft an anvil after like hours. Oh my lord, we've got it. We've actually got it, finally. Okay, I'm just gonna try to pick it up and bring it to where everything else is and see if I can make the next thing I need, which I'm pretty sure I already have a bellows, so I should be able to build one. I can make a bellow, and then I just need the anvil and the rest of the stuff, and I can make a bigger forge. This has been taking so long to do.
Yeah, seriously, after hours and hours of grinding and looting and building all of this, we finally had exactly what we need to build an advanced forge. It was finicky to get the placement right at first, but in the end, we finally did it.
Oh my god, finally. I've been trying to place this freaking forge down for like 10, 15 minutes and it just wouldn't let me place it for the longest time. But we finally have it. Man, this thing is crazy looking. Now I just gotta clean up a bit and maybe start walling this in. I think it's time to start walling this area in a bit.
So for a little while, I did just that. I would rearrange things in the area and start building the walls to my foraging workshop. It took a minute to figure out a layout I wanted for this build, but I even managed to build an advanced furnace, which, to be honest, I don't know if I missed something, but it seems like the advanced furnace and the simple furnace are like the exact same thing, but one is far more expensive to build. But nonetheless, I continued on clearing off the ground and organizing the loot, and then I would head to bed. In the morning, I began adding some more tiling down, which would make up the flooring for this building. And after multiple days of building and constructing, I had finished mapping out the walls to this building and rearranged the layout of some crafting stations. And I even installed some sinks I could tap to water barrels on the roof. And eventually, I had also completed the flooring in the workshop with tiling. Then, soon enough, the workshop was finally complete.
So, I just need to put some lighting in here, but for the most part, this thing is done. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck 50. Like, I think the tiles, like the ceramic tiles, I committed to it. But like in another time, another place, I don't think I would ever do this again, because like it actually takes so much resources and so much cement and so much clay just to fill in a room at this size. It takes so long to do. And yeah, well, we have the forges built. We have both the advanced furnace and the advanced forge. The only unfortunate thing that I got kind of scammed on is that apparently it seems like the advanced furnace is the exact same thing as the primitive one and or the simple one. Tomorrow, I want to try to mess around with building some gear. We can actually make some armor now, which I think is really cool. However, it's going to cost a lot of this crap, a lot of stuff to make. And also, I don't really know what the best weaponry would be to make, but I do want to mess around with some of these. I have a few more things I want to do, but ultimately, I want to clear that mall out. And now that this is done, we can get a move on. We can start finally making some armor and some tools and start killing some Zeds.
Now that my forge was finally built, I figured it was time to check up on my goals I had made for myself a while ago. And I even added a few things to my list that I would also like to do at some point, like build a chicken farm, build a road, and a parking lot for cars, and some of the more background things like leveling up my metalworking and other skills. Sometimes in a game like this, it's good to set some goals for yourself, because at the end of the day, it's up to you to come up with ways to keep things interesting. Zomboid doesn't really have much of an end game other than survive, so why not have some fun with it and build some cool shit? That's how I love to play this game, at least. But later on, I would get back to things by starting off with cooking some food in my kitchen. Then I figured it was time to finally finish up my garage. So I spent a little while adding gravel flooring, and once that was done, I would start looking into possible armors I can make.
Gold, copper, aluminum. All right, what can we make? What can we make? Weaponry. Not a whole lot of options here, it seems like. There's only like maces, clubs. Could try to make a club. I don't know like how good they are. Mace head. Fires metalworking level 7. Oh my god. We're only level 2. Not even level 2. We're only level 1.
Yeah, it's safe to say that even though my forge and workshop is done, I still have a lot of work I need to do before I can even build a full armor set. So for now, I would put a pin in this and return to it another time, and would distract myself with other mind-numbing tasks around the base, and later make a fish fillet sandwich from scratch, cause why not? I really enjoy all the new cooking ingredient stuff in this build. But after all this, I would take my car over to the river's edge next to my base and collect some clay. I had another mod that simplifies the way to get clay, since in build 42, getting clay is very tedious and it requires a lot of foraging and running around. This just adds a mechanic that I think should just exist in the base game. So yeah, I was able to craft clay from dirt using water and a strainer. And after a whole day of doing this, I had over 100 clay. Then on the following day, my carrots and sweet potatoes I had planted were finally ready for harvest and bearing seeds. So I would use these and go cook up some more meals for the days ahead. And then I would begin expanding dirt pathways in front of my base and towards the new workshop. Now around this time, I would also begin working on a road by building a small section within the walls of my base. Then I would begin heading out the castle walls in the direction of the river. I chose this side of the base to build the road from because ultimately it would just be a shorter distance I would need to build. I would also get a little too exhausted to continue for the day, so I would head back home and sleep off the night. And in the morning, I would clear out some overgrowth within the walls and get back to constructing the road. And for a little while, this is pretty much all I would do because I wanted to get a head start on that road project.
no. I have so much farther to go. Oh man, what am I doing? It's gonna take me hours to do.
So for now, I would put a stop to the road project and get back to other things. I will have to continue this because it's really important that I finish this to make trips into town a lot easier. Plus, it just looks kinda cool. But for now, I would head home and whip up some dinner and then sleep off the night. I woke up pretty early in the morning, so I used this time to get back into the workshop. I would just mindlessly screw around with all the crafting stuff and do a little bit of tool maintenance on some axes, and then I would dedicate this day to leveling up my blacksmithing skill.
If I just forge a fuck ton of knives, I'll get my blacksmithing skill up. Not my metalworking skill.
Dedicating the rest of the day to leveling up my metalworking skill was pretty much the goal for right now. After I got my skill to level 2, I went back in my house to read the next series of metalworking books. Then, once I had the XP boost I needed, I would return to my forge and I would repeat the process by crafting more knives. Again, the only reason why I chose to do small knives was because they were just the cheapest thing I could craft to level up with. But I'm sure there may be a slightly better method out there, and if you guys know of any, please let me know in the comments. But for now, I would just repeat this process of forging knives and then sharpening them at my grindstone, and then you guessed it, reading more metalworking books. I had originally gone into town to scrap electrical appliances for a material called scrap electronics. The reason being was because my generator back at home was starting to get some wear and tear and I need to repair it. Now, I just happened to get a little lucky to stumble across a trailer full of chickens. So I would hitch them to my truck and stop at the nearby fire station to loot and scrap a few electrical appliances, and by morning I would start heading back home.
What the fuck, bro? Dude, what is this? What is wrong with this game?
I needed to get these chickens into a pen so they can start producing some eggs for me. However, this drive alone took me almost all day to get back home because I would stop every so often to clear out the overgrowth in my path. But eventually, I would make it home.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, hold on. We're gonna have to go around. I don't think this trailer can fit in here. I hope it fits on the other side, or else I'm gonna be pissed. Wait, no, hold on. Is it the same height? Hold on. Let me actually double check. 4 tiles high. I think it's not gonna fit. It's the same height. All right. Looks like we're gonna have to bring the trailer in. Not the trailer, we're gonna bring the chickens in one by one. So I will leave them in the trailer for now. I'll just build like a pen for them in the morning. But for now, let's just sleep.
So I went inside and would head up to bed. On the following day, I needed some more logs for building a chicken coop and pen. So I took my van to the tree line and chopped down some trees for logs. And after my truck was full of logs, I would head back home and saw them to begin constructing a space for my chickens. It took about 2 days worth of building, but eventually it was ready for them. And one by one, I would transport each chicken into their new home. Now, this is something I found out about chickens. Apparently, they tend to maintain themselves up until winter, so I won't need to feed them. However, I did build some animal troughs in their pen, which would be used for collecting rainwater so this way they can drink. But for the most part, these chickens will be completely passive and will yield me a reliable source of protein from their eggs from this point on. Then later I took my car into the garage and began unloading the trunk of all the new loot I had gotten in town from the fire department. And after the base was organized and all the loot was put away, I figured I should start practicing my tailoring skill since it would be needed for forging some armor later on. With that in mind, I began reading some tailoring books, and once I was done, I would practice adding and removing patches to my clothing to eventually get to level 2 in tailoring.
There we go. Level 2 tailoring. Okay, so we can make forearm, shoulder, thigh, and shin, and a face mask. Oh, we can make a spiked club.
I had finally got my metalworking skill to level 5, which now unlocked a few things I could craft, including some armor and a spiked club. I was a little curious about some of these weapons, so I went ahead and crafted a spiked club to check it out.
First ever crafted weapon. Oh, is this a long blunt? Oh no. I'm not good with long blunts. Maybe we will go work on the road project and start heading to town because I do need to kill some zombies and collect their clothing for tailoring stuff and part of crafting. Which I don't have leather strips, and I'm also running low on bread and all sorts of things. Take my truck into town. You know what? Scratch that. I'm gonna go fish because I haven't done it in a minute, and we could actually use some more protein. And I think it's better to fish in the rain.
Eventually, I would get back to building the road, but for now, I needed a break from the grind, and I found fishing kind of fun. Plus, like I said, I could use a restock on fish for protein. Eggs only do so much for hunger. So, for a little while, I would just fish by the river and catch some food for the week.
Ooh, what kind of fish is that? It fought pretty well. 32 centimeter, let's go. Oh, damn, the hunger rating on that is crazy.
I went back home to fillet and store fish in my kitchen, and then would cook up a nice protein-rich fish and egg roast. Afterwards, I would head to sleep, and on the following day, I would get back to building the road. For a while, I would pretty much just do this, and occasionally come back home to handle a few things around the base. But for now, this would be my main goal. I needed to get this road done because I've been talking about it non-stop, and I think it's time we finally finish it.
I think they might make like a halfway base at some point up here. Especially when I go to clear the mall, I'm gonna need like a place to come and rest and hide. Oh, this is so much nicer, man. I can finally just drive straight home at full speed and not have to dodge bushes and trees. 100% worth it. Wait, the road is right there. Oh, fuck, I'm actually right here. Oh my god, finally. We're almost there. And done. It looks a little weird. Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should knock that light post out. I might like drive full speed into it coming down this road.
And finally, the road project was complete. This project alone took me over 9 hours of my life, so please like this video and subscribe. But now that I can reach the city and travel back and forth a lot easier, I can finally start working towards my main goal, clearing the mall. Also, building a set of armor in my forge. But first, I would head into town to look for a few things. First of which was more thread and leather strips. I went around some neighborhoods and looted some houses, and also dedicated a good amount of time clearing out the gas station again since some new hordes began migrating over to it. I also had used the gas station to refill all my empty gas cans, and after a while of running over zombies with some hot-wired cars, I was eventually able to do this. And once I was done, I tried to figure out a solid plan from here.
Gee, wait, well, I do need to get metal. I don't know, maybe I don't know what to do right now. I don't know if I go and make a bunch of armor and weapons. Truthfully, I don't know what weapon is the best to blacksmith. Every single weapon I've used is just breaks on me too quickly. And look at, oh my god, look at all these zombies here, bro. This is gonna take ages. I think I know what I need to do. I need to make my halfway house so I can rest. We're gonna have to get our guns and everything ready, some Molotovs and stuff, some gear, and wait, is that a baby lamb? The ones that got loose? Take him with me.
Yeah, I will admit I was a little torn on what exactly I needed to do at this very moment. However, I did break up all my plans I need to do from this point on. First off, I need to craft some armor, which you already know. Secondly, I don't think I want to forge any weapons since none of them to my knowledge will benefit me in short blunt since that's my best combat skill. Also, not to mention, but that spike club I had made earlier on ended up breaking on me within like 20 swings, making it a complete waste of resources, so I'd rather just stick with the traditional metal pipe since I don't want my weapons breaking on me while I'm clearing out the mall. Speaking of which, while I'm clearing out the mall, I will need a safe place to rest and restock on food and ammo that isn't that far away. With that in mind, I do plan on building some kind of halfway base between me and the mall. It won't be anything crazy, just a place with all the necessities. So yeah, I plan to do all this, but not in any particular order, except saving the best for last, clearing the Louisville Mall. So for a short while, I would run around base doing a little bit of organization and searching for guns and ammo to stock up on and put in the back of my truck. I would also gather some tools, logs, and nails, and then load them into the back of my truck and start heading back to town. Reason being was because I'd figured I may as well go scope out a good spot to put down the halfway base.
Okay, so I've pretty much done everything except for make the armor. I still need to get stuff. I kind of underestimated just how expensive, how much of a grind this is, but I figured I might just make a little bit of a halfway base right here. I don't know if I want it to be too close to the mall, but I think this is a decent distance. Yeah, we'll build it right here on this pavement.
So I would saw up some logs and begin constructing my little halfway base. Maybe I'll just call it a fob or something from here on out, because I like that a little better than just calling it a halfway base every time. Yeah, anyways, I would fill in the walls and build a door and then close off the roof. After that, I made a little extension off the fob to act as a little bit of an airlock to bring my car in if needed. Then I would head into town and stop at the nearby storage units and loot for some furniture like a mattress and a small couch. I would bring these back to my fob and place them down and head back out to collect a sink and a couple of countertops to then later add it to my fob. And after installing them inside, I would build a rain barrel on the roof so that I can get some fresh water from the sink. And then with a few minor adjustments to the airlock, the fob was now done.
All right, well, the little halfway house is done. Have a place to rest, get some water, or some stuff. And now
all we gotta do is start stocking up our guns, loading up our magazines, and build some armor. I have been collecting all sorts of like clothing and things to rip up to use, like leather items. I've been getting all sorts of metal stuff, and I think it's finally time we go back to base, make some armor, and we start working on clearing this mall. I'm getting tired of this playthrough. It's so nice that I've actually been able to build this road. This took me so long to do, but it is so worth it. I can actually finally just drive straight home and not have to run over bushes and little saplings and such.
So after getting back to my base, I didn't waste any time. By this point, I had collected all the needed items to finally begin forging some proper armor. I went straight into my workshop and began looking at all the different things I could craft, starting with the forearm armor.
Okay, we've made our first metal armor. It's only for the forearm, but it's the start. We have 2 forearm pieces. Look at this thing. Oh yeah, there it is. Right along my wrist. That's cool. Now we have both of them on. I'm gonna make a full set, whatever I can make.
So I just finally made my first piece of real armor. Turns out, after crafting this, I actually accumulated enough XP to get almost level 6 in metalworking. I also figured I would go in and read another book of tailoring, since forging armor pieces also give you a little bit of XP in this as well. Then afterwards, once I had an XP boost in tailoring, I would return to the forge and start crafting a metal face mask.
Oh shit, man. Look at that. That's cool. Hold on, I gotta take off the cap and stuff. Oh, that's crazy looking. That is so cool. How does that affect my aiming though? Vision impairment, like 50%. That's crazy. So if I want to shoot, I'm gonna want to take this off.
And after crafting the metal face mask, I had gotten enough XP to reach level 6 in metalworking. Best part about this was I had now just unlocked a bunch of more armor types that I could craft. So to start with, I would read the next metalworking book and then sleep off the night. In the morning, I would return to the forge to begin working on the rest of my armor. So now that I finally had everything ready, it's officially time to take over the mall. I had built a workshop, an entire road to town, and now I had all the guns, ammo, and some brand new armor. This has been a long time coming, especially since it's been over 3 months since I've started this journey, but now I'm actually ready. So with that being said, I packed up everything and loaded into my truck and began heading towards the fob I had built near the mall. I would spend roughly a day here unloading my truck and then prepping for later. Then I would return back home to cook up some food to use for the next couple days while I was out here. I would also take the tow truck with me back towards the mall, which I also planned on using to grab cars in the parking lot, and for some other stuff which you'll see soon. Now, when I got back to the mall area, I would start grabbing as many cars as I could from the lot and return them next to my fob. The plan was if I needed to, or maybe ran out of ammo, I could use these vehicles here as weapons and just run down all the zombies. So after a little while of going back and forth, I would start hot wiring all these cars and check if they had any fuel in them. If they did, I would park them in these empty spaces out front my fob, and if they didn't, I would just tow them off to the side. I would also grab a vehicle with a light bar, which I intend on using to bunch up all the zombies, and also to help with luring them out of the mall. Then, after a little while, I was pretty much ready to get things started.
All of these cars here are going to be used for the greater purpose, and I have an idea. So first I just need to get some campfires, but I'm going to be using this guy here. Kind of lure some zombies around the parking lot and turn that into a bit of a distraction to lure them out. I'm going to quickly just go and take a look at how things are in the parking lot, kind of get a feel of what we're after.
So I would take my truck over to the lot and place down a couple fire pits. I probably only really needed one of these, but the plan was to use this to light them on fire and save my Molotovs for later. I began taking my tow truck and the police car over to the mall, and I had also noticed an ambulance in the parking lot which I could also use for luring zombies with. So I would hop in the ambulance for a moment and flip on the alarm to bait all the zombies over to it while I would head over to the fire pits I had built before. Then I took some logs and sticks and would light a fire. Now I just gotta get the attention of the horde and begin clearing this thing.
Oh my god! Oh, just walk on the fire. There we go, that's what we're looking for. Nice. Now I could just let them attack that ambulance. I'm gonna bring this one to the other side. So they'll bunch up there and take care of the zombies over here. Let's get my armor on.
Oh my god. Oh, look at them all. Look at them all. If I can actually fully clear this place, I will never need to go loot anywhere again. We'll have so much stuff.
I had spent a couple hours clearing out the front of the mall. I would occasionally run near the entrance of the mall to see if there were any zombies lurking around. It seemed like I had finished clearing out this half of the mall. Now all that was left was the other side. So I would relocate the police car with the siren near the north entrance and continue what I had started.
Oh, just keep coming.
Yeah, I figured the zombies were getting stuck inside some of the stores and hallways and not properly pathing out the main entrance. So I would grab a sledgehammer and break open a couple areas for the zombies to find a way out. I would also use this method as a means to light up a couple hallways along the backside of the mall, since there's sometimes a chance that hundreds of zombies could be hiding back there. But nonetheless, I would continue clearing this place.
Hold on, I have an idea. I'm gonna leave this area for a minute. I know where I can find a generator because I found it sometime before when I was clearing out this section here. There's a generator I can use right over here. I'll hook it up next to the mall so I have some lights on the inside, and I'll smash away to bring the ambulance into the building. Take this with me. We're gonna drop the generator right here, I think. There we go. We have some lights. Nice, okay. We just gotta get some more on, and we are able to... we should be able to bring the siren here. Maybe we'll bring the fire truck inside here, or whatever that sheriff car is supposed to be. Yeah, we can put it like right down here in the middle. I think some of the lights don't read. Yeah, that's probably the problem. I can maybe bring some floodlights in here. Hold on.
So with the generator now hooked up and giving power to this portion of the mall, I would use this to brighten up some areas to make it less of a risk to run around in here without a flashlight. I would also head across the street to another building and grab a couple floodlights and then set them down inside the mall to add some light in here. Afterwards, I would get a little tired, so I'd return to my fob and sleep off the night.
All right, it is morning. Now let's head back to the mall. Let's bring one of those cars into the middle. Turn on the sirens, and let's see if we can try to lure any of the zombies out of their little like hiding holes, because they're all like kind of inside stores up on the second levels and stuff. So it's gonna be a little hard to clear them out when they're hiding in there. I'm gonna park right here. All right, let's see if we can move these floodlights a little closer so that we can actually manage to see a little better over here. There we go. Perfect. Looks like we cleared a lot of them out. I'm not seeing any, but they're definitely in here somewhere. No way we finished this place.
It may have seemed like I've cleared out the mall, but that wasn't the case. There were still a bunch of zombies in here somewhere, just hiding in random stores or back rooms. But I had to find them because I wanted to take this mall 100%. Not a single zombie left in here. With that in mind, I would first hit up the gun store and loot it for all the ammo inside, since I could use a resupply. Then I would take all the excess back to my fob and offload my inventory, and then I would return home for a short break. I have to admit, I was getting a little homesick and I could use some more food. So when I got home, I would check up on my chickens, and I found that they have certainly been busy while I was gone, leaving tons of eggs for me. I took all these eggs and I would head inside my house and see what I could make for food.
You know what? Just to celebrate the fact that we have done so much work to clear the mall, we're gonna make a fucking cake. I don't know how to do it, but we're gonna do it. Ooh. Hell yeah, man. That's so cool. Dude, I wish... that's so cool. I'm so glad they added more things that you can make.
I enjoyed a couple slices of cake, and then I would bake some muffins. And I would also cook up some eggs and then take them back to the mall with me. However, I had to make a stop along the way to collect some logs because I planned on building a set of stairs to access the roof of the mall. Once I had the logs I needed, I would saw them out front of the mall and begin to build a way up. I also figured I should add some fencing around the edges just in case so I don't make the mistake of falling off from up here.
We are now on the roof. We'll place a generator up here. Actually move our tent base up here, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. For now, we're just gonna go sleep.
I returned to my fob and would sleep off the night. And with a new day ahead of us, I returned to the mall and moved the generator up to the roof. The reason I did all this was because every generator has a radius of 25 tiles around it that it can actually power. So I was hoping I could use this to align the generator with one of the light switches inside of the mall that could light up the entire main floor. And once it was placed, I would make an entrance to the second floor from outside and take a look around for the light switch and clean up some zombies. But I then realized once I went back down to the first floor, for some reason the generator no longer reaches the light switches down here. Not sure if this was intentional or not, but I could have sworn this used to work.
Surely this is powered. What? Did it not reach from the rooftop? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Hold on, let's light up the second floor. Maybe if I move the generator here and power the second floor lights, or even the main building?
I went back up to the roof and made a slight adjustment to the generator since I had just found the power switch to possibly light up the entire second floor. So I went back down and killed a couple zombies in my way and gave it a shot.
I don't know if this is the light I'm looking for, but I'm really hoping it is. Please? Oh, yeah. Okay, so this whole second floor should be lit now. The only thing I don't know about is the bottom floor. We're gonna have to head down there and check. Okay, it's looking like it's not. Well, now we have most of the second floor kind of lit up, and we're just gonna go around and just kind of clear out whatever remaining zombies there are. Kind of take over this place, I suppose. I think it's clear for the most part. I mean, there's probably some, like one or two, you know, just hiding in a room or two that will eventually show itself to me. But I've circled this entire mall 2 times now, killed a couple hordes that just surprised me. I think for the most part, this entire mall is safe. It's ours, and I can actually, like, there's so much loot here. I don't even know what to do with. Can't believe I actually managed to do this. This took so long. It's done. We've cleared them all.
Finally, it was done. From my humble beginnings of building a home inside the castle, to building a road that stretches for miles, and even a forge where I can smith armor and weapons, to now fully laying down control over the entire Louisville Mall. I had spent hours clearing every room and store, checking for any possible zombies still lurking around. I had been in this run for well over 3 months now. I've done a lot, but there is still some work left to be done. I've cleared this mall, I've mastered blacksmithing, and I've built one of my favorite bases to date, but I have just a few more plans left to check off. So, with all that being said, let's now head into chapter 3. This right here is the Louisville Mall, famously known for being one of the most deadliest locations in all of Louisville, as it's usually completely overrun with the undead, or at least it used to be. You see, after spending countless hours building up my fortress base and then preparing to take on this mall, I had finally done it. I cleared every single zombie wandering around this mall and more, because I had something planned for this place. My goal was to transform this mall into a secondary home. Plus, I have a few other things in mind, which we'll get into later. But first, I begin back at my house after previously clearing the mall. While this place is home and a primary residence, I do have some plans for transforming the mall, or using it in some fashion. However, for right now, I had to assign myself some initial goals to get things started.
So I already cleared out the mall, killed every single zombie inside of it. The mall is ours, and the base here is it's widely, you know, protectable, and it's all coming together. It looks nice, but there's a few
things I want to do. Now I have some plans. First of all, the mall is ours, so I need to loot it. I haven't looted it yet. I want to completely turn over every single little bit of loot inside there and store it just right down in the middle of the mall and then transport it all the way back here. Now that is gonna be a lot of loot. So I'm gonna need to get some form of like storage hall. I was thinking maybe we build some kind of storehouse for our loot. A lot of things we could do to this place, but the mall right now is gonna be my priority. So that is the plans for right now.
I then decided that the armor I had spent a while making in order to clear the mall is no longer needed at this moment. I would use it again, of course, when I needed to. However, for right now, I would put it away and store it inside my wardrobe in my bedroom, before then giving myself a proper bath and cleaning off my clothes.
Yeah, let me take off this armor and just store it away, and we'll use it again, of course, when we have to. I'm just gonna maybe clean my clothes a bit too. Dude, if they had like armor stands, oh, that would be so cool. Give ourselves a nice little bath as well. We earned it.
Afterwards, I headed downstairs to fill up on some food I had left in the fridge before I took a deeper look into my current skills. I had plans to work on a few things, like my mechanics and electrical skills, but I think maxing out whatever I could would be pretty cool if I can manage that. But for now, I would shift my focus to returning to the mall, which I had cleared out already. So I checked through my van and made sure I had everything I needed before heading out. And after arriving at my fob, which I had built near the mall to allow me to rest and recoup from being out in LV all day, I realized something that I had previously forgot about.
Oh yeah, you know what? I just remembered that I had gotten all these cars in case I needed to use them as weapons, but I guess I don't need them as weapons. I can actually use these to train my mechanics now. So yeah, I mean, I'll keep that in mind. I could start like hauling some of these cars.
So yeah, I guess it's safe to say I had a lot planned for myself. And at some point, I thought it would be cool if I can turn the mall into a space for working on dismantling vehicles. This way, I wouldn't need to make the long distance trip between the city and my fortress base. But for now, I would loop around the mall and plan to go inside and get to work.
So I had actually previously moved my generator, or a spare generator I had, to the bottom right there, and it actually reaches this little switch right here, and I can now have light downstairs. So yeah, there's light down here. The only problem is I think the light bugs out and I don't think it reaches to the other end.
I had already set up some generators in specific areas outside the mall to allow myself to use the light switches inside. This was perfect because I can now see everything in the main corridor. However, this wouldn't include some of the stores within the mall. But nonetheless, it was time we map out the plan.
I'm gonna redo a bit of this. I'm gonna actually turn this into like just a loot hall, just like drop a bunch of loot here in the middle.
While I would eventually begin work on the middle area, I also wanted to try cleaning up some of the zombie corpses in the near vicinity. So one by one, I would drag each corpse into a pile slightly near the exit. However, I would give up on this for now since it made me too exhausted too quickly.
Oh man, why does this tire you out so much? I've only like carried 4 zombies and I'm already high exerted. That's not gonna be good. That's not good at all.
After giving up, I would return my focus to working on the middle area. I wanted to start with removing the fencing so this way I could move more freely in and out of the green patch in the middle. I would do a little bit of work on clearing out some of the fencing, but it started to get a little too late and I was getting kind of tired. So after a short search, I actually found a bed that was conveniently placed at a store near where I was working. With that in mind, I crawled into bed and I would catch up on some sleep, but ultimately I had woken up from either a bad dream or what seemed like a panic attack.
You woke up in a panic because I didn't smoke last night. God, I'm a fiend. A cigarette.
Well, I was stuck wide awake, so I figured I may as well get back to work. And after a little while of clearing out some of the fencing, I remembered that I also needed to handle my food reserves while I was here. But luckily, there was also an entire food store at the other end of the mall. So I put what I was doing to a pause while I headed down to the food store. Upon arriving, I immediately grabbed some snacks left behind on the shelves for me to eat. This would keep me full for right now, but I would need to collect all sorts of food that would cut out the need for cooking in the meantime, such as canned food and non-perishables. So I grabbed a shopping cart and used this to clear out the shelves in the store and then transferred everything to the back of my van. Once everything was in the trunk, I decided it was time to return back to the work area from before. I ate a few things to make sure I was full, and then I would get back to work on demolishing everything.
Alright, and there we go. The fences are gone. There's still like some structures in the middle here, which I'm probably also gonna clear out because I'm gonna need the space anyway. So I'm gonna completely remove everything out of here. That's the plan. right. There we go.
And soon enough, I had finished clearing everything out from the middle, including moving some of the furniture to around the edges of the green mat. I also had befriended a mannequin that oddly reminded me of my friend 𝐏𝐶𝐿𝐴.
That looks familiar. He's got like he's like resting up on my shoulder. Is this 𝐏𝐶𝐿𝐴? I think I might call this guy 𝐏𝐶𝐵𝐵.
I mean, just look at him. He has all the same features and everything. Well, I will admit, it gets pretty damn lonely out here in Build 42. Anyways, on the following day, I found a trolley in one of the stores near the middle, and I would begin to scavenge the stores for loot. The plan right now was to use the middle area in the mall as a loot depot, so I would try to visit every store in order from which they are laid out. To begin with, I hit the clothing store and loaded everything into my trolley. Now, I will admit, I realistically do not need all this loot, or more specifically, 50 pairs of t-shirts or other clothing items. However, I would be able to scrap these into the raw materials at some point, but for now, I just threw everything into my trolley and dumped them in the middle. I had built a couple crates to store things, but I think it's safe to say I won't be relying on crates for this right now. Unfortunately, for now, I'm gonna have to drop all the loot into piles like some kind of barbaric animal. Isn't that right, 𝐏𝐶𝐿𝐴? So yeah, I continued going from store to store, grabbing literally everything, and then returning to the middle to dump into sorted piles. And let me just tell you, this took me way longer than I had anticipated.
I think we've been clearing out loot in every store for the past like 5 days. Oh my god, my game's lagging. I wonder if it's the loot on the ground, but I'm pretty sure we've looted like every single store on the first floor. I mean, look at this pile here, man. I could swim in all these shirts and shit. Okay, well, I've pretty much looted every single store in this mall. And here's our pile of all the different kind of loot so far. I'm about to just drop off the last load and take one good look at it. Looking at it, it doesn't really look like a lot, but I promise you there is a lot of loot in every single one of these piles. Like, oh my god, I love the pile of teddy bears. It's so funny.
So I had finally finished looting everything in the mall. I can't believe I actually spent 5 hours doing this. But nonetheless, I began loading some of the items from the materials pile into my van and would begin heading back home. Now, the plan was to build something of a warehouse or a storage room for all this loot. On my way back, I would take care of a small crowd of zombies, and I will say I kinda miss the feeling of this.
I forgot how much of a freaking machine I was, dude. I'm so strong with short blunt. What is my skill? Oh, that's right. I'm almost maxed out in short blunt. That makes sense. Just like one hitting everything. It's so satisfying.
I would continue heading back up the road and clearing out any zombies along the way. Not just because I missed the action, but this way I would be able to freely travel the road without any zombies being in the middle of it. But when I got home, I headed upstairs to sleep off the night to continue things in the morning.
Right. Morning. It's pretty dark out still, but you know, I think we should just use this opportunity to go and get some wood. And while I'm doing that, I actually had something I wanted to do as well. Now, I wanted to make another road from here to this exit over here, or this entrance here. So I'll probably do that.
made it this whole way. We now have a road that takes me to the forest, which is pretty much what I wanted.
The road that led from my fortress to the trees was now done. It was simple, but a necessary side goal of mine, since it would allow me to transport logs back to my base a little bit more efficiently. And with that in mind, I would later begin working on gathering the logs and sawing them back at my base. The plan was to use the wood for mapping out a structure for what would soon become a small warehouse for storing excess loot. I mean, now that the mall was fully cleared, I still had to transfer all of the loot back here, but not until we built some storage for it.
Well, I just spent the last day, maybe 2, chopping down trees and making planks. Now I just have to start building the structure that is going to be my storehouse. Let me just start grabbing some nails and this planks and just get to it. Done. The roof is done. The bones of the building are done. Now I just gotta put in shelving and boxes and such.
So after finishing the warehouse, I played around with a couple ideas for how I wanted to arrange the crates for storing the loot. I didn't exactly care for organization within this building since it was just meant to be a place for dumping tons of excess loot I had flowing in from the mall and rest of LV. So after messing around with this for what seemed like an hour, I eventually rearranged the stairs and a few walls before finally coming to a decision on the layout I wanted. The idea was to have these little sections for me to stand in while being able to access multiple crates at once using the proximity mod.
Okay, so the general shape and idea of the storehouse is mapped out. I think what I wanted to do was just have like a place where I could just drop loot in and not think too much about where it's going to be stored. The way it works is I just stand in the middle of it and I can just access all these crates in one using the proximity mod. I have a lot of storage space to work with. I also wanted to fill in this space with some shelving and whatever else I can get. But while I'm out there, I'm going to try to just grab some things I left at the mall and, you know, also try to get some shelving units. So I'm going to head there now and finish this place up.
Yeah, so with that in mind, I got into my truck and set back off to the mall over in LV. I would park out front and then use my sledgehammer to open up an entrance for taking my cars in and out of the mall.
I should just be able to disassemble those shelving units and then just add them to the trunk right here. They are, oh yeah, oh, I need to put a battery in this. That's so dark. Okay, let's go ahead and just pick up a handful of these large shelves and throw them into the trunk of my truck.
So I grabbed the trolley and used it to load up the shelving units into the back of my truck. Then I decided, since I was here, I may as well begin loading whatever I could of all the loot I had gathered within the mall. So I drove down the corridor to the opposite side of the mall and was afraid that maybe I had left a little bit too much loot on the ground.
Oh boy, game is lagging. I'm loading in all this loot again. Oh no, don't crash. Oh no. Oh, okay, there we go. Now that is why you don't put loot on the ground, guys. This is why you don't make piles. Oh my god, wait. Oh, 𝗏𝐿𝐴, I forgot you were here, man. I totally forgot I left you here, man. Don't worry, I'll take you back home. Let me get you in the car. Oh boy, what's happening? Oh no, am I crashing? Oh my god, I crashed. Bro. God damn it.
Yeah, so this is why I usually don't make massive piles of loot. Well, anyways, after trying to reboot my game and crashing a second time, I managed to get back to where I had left off.
God, look at the pile of teddy bears. Oh, it's so funny. I can't wait to like mess with that.
So I backed my truck right on top of one of the loot piles and would begin tossing everything into the bed of my truck. Now, if you're curious how my car can hold so much loot, it's because I had the road builder mod installed and I didn't know this car was one of those modded vehicles that it spawned. And because of this, the truck was able to hold a whopping 700 capacity. At first, I thought this was just a normal thing or a feature of Build 42, but you know what? I'm not complaining. I kind of enjoy this. Especially with all the items I still needed to transfer back to my house, this trunk space was essential for my well-being. So with that out of the way, I would head out the mall and begin driving home.
Oh, what the fuck? I didn't even hit anything. Oh my god, look, the car just like sinks into the ground when you turn too quick. Oh my god, dude. The physics. Oh, look at that car physics.
I will truly never understand this game's car physics. But when I got back home, I would drop off the shelving pieces on the ground in my new warehouse, and then I got to placing them. By the way, I didn't really have any methodical plan on how I wanted to arrange them, other than I just wanted the middle to be open and leave enough room for cars to fit. I would also use some spare wood I had laying around to build a couple bookshelves and a countertop. But after all this, I was officially done with my warehouse.
Okay, well, the warehouse I had in mind it's done. This is, I think, what I wanted to do. I have plenty of storage space to work with. I'm just gonna start unloading things into these crates, and yeah, we have it done. I'm hyped about that.
So yeah, now that I was done with building and sorting out the space within my warehouse, I would begin dumping all my newly found loot into random storage boxes. However, I guess I later figured that I could use the shelves to be a little bit more organized, but then there was something I later realized that made my heart stop, and I became extremely worried.
Hey, what happened to 𝐾𝐳𝐵? Put him in the car. Where'd he go? 𝐾𝐳𝐵? What? I'm so confused. Where did he go? Huh? 𝐾𝐳𝐵? Where'd he go? What the hell? He was in the car, and now he's not here anymore. Oh no. 𝐾𝐳𝐵, where'd you go? Man, I'm all alone again.
Once again, I was truly alone, and I hope wherever 𝐾𝐳𝐵 has gone, he's safe and maybe thinking of me. I never even got a chance to show him around his new home, but anyways, I couldn't dwell over 𝐾𝐳𝐵 being missing all day. All I knew was that if he were here right now, he would be proud that my loot isn't in one big pile over the middle of the floor. Man, this inside joke is, it's getting kind of cringe. And speaking of big piles of loot, I think it was time to begin heading back towards the mall and finish up what I had started. However, along the way, I would make a stop at the gas station right next to the mall to look for maps and see if there were any zombies around it.
I kind of wanted to like wall this place in so that there's no zombies that will come in here, but I'm kind of weirded out that there's none next to this gas station. There were like a lot here. I mean, I know I like probably baited a lot of them from here to the mall when I was making all that noise, but there'd still be some.
Yeah, if you weren't already aware, I spent hours clearing out the mall and luring tons of hordes in the area over to it previously, and it almost made this part of LV like a ghost town. It was kind of strange, but I knew there must be hundreds of zombies still hiding away in one of these buildings, and with that being said, I kind of miss letting loose on zombies, so much to a point that I had gone out of my way just to find a small group of them to blow off steam.
I mean, I'm kind of itching for some kills. Hold on. There we go. Ah, it feels so good.
Afterwards, I would return to the mall and get back to hauling the loot to my warehouse back at base. However, just like before, the game didn't exactly want to cooperate.
No, bro. No, come on, don't crash on me. No, come on, don't crash. No. Yeah, it's literally all the fucking teddy bears, bro. Oh my god. Yep, she's done. He crashed.
Once my crashing issue was sorted out, I began tossing this unnecessary large pile of teddy bears and other junk items into the back of my truck to take it all home. Now, you might be asking yourself, Brollow, why the heck do you need 43 teddy bears? Why would anybody need any of these items, honestly? Well, my dear viewer, I'll tell you exactly why. Bear bed.
I'm just chilling with my friends. Got my boys behind me, just kicking it with the boys. I miss my friend 𝐾𝐳𝐵.
And yes, I also had a total of 40 dolls, and what else did you expect me to do with these things? Truthfully, I don't know why I went out of my way to loot all these toy stores in the mall, but sitting inside my sea bear circle reminded me that I was safe from the outside world. Or at least I was safe inside my mind. So later on, I was determined to finish hauling the rest of the loot out of the mall, because I really wanted to get started on transforming a space I could use for working on cars. With that being said, I had returned to my loot depot and would spend the next little while grabbing the rest of the things laying around on the ground and then returning them back to my base, and of course, tossing everything inside my warehouse. Then, after what seemed to be an hour of going back and forth and rummaging through a totally overkill amount of loot, I was finally done.
I finished transferring all the loot from the mall to my warehouse now. Now, I think I want to go and handle my plan with the mall. I wanted to turn it into somewhere I can work on cars. I'm going to bring some mechanics books, metalwork, like welding books and electrical books with me to the mall, and I'm gonna go ahead and just stay there for a little while and start getting into mechanic stuff and arming up a car. All right, well, anyways, let me go ahead and load up my truck and then start heading back to town.
So in the meantime, now that I was done, I would spend a little bit of time going around the base and checking up on things, such as checking up on my chicken coop, since now I had a whole bunch of new chicks that had just hatched, and then a few other things like sorting and eating some food before later stocking up the back of my truck with all the necessary items and tools I would need for working on them all. I would make sure to catch up on some sleep, and then in the early morning, I would begin heading out. Along the way, I would stop at my fob where I had left my tow truck and then use it to tow my car over to the mall. Reason being is because I would later plan to use this tow truck, so I figured why not save me the extra trip. When I got to the mall, I would unhitch my truck and then begin sledging out the guard post in front of the grocery store, and following up on doing the same, but to the main entrance of the grocery store. This way, I could freely take cars in and out. Now, I should probably let you in on my vision for this project.
So this is the inner side of the grocery store. I have to basically go through and completely demolish all these shelves and such and turn this into an open floor space that I can just pull cars in and work on them here. And obviously I have to move a generator to this side just so that this way I can get some power and like light it up in here because it's a bit dark.
Yeah, so like I said, I would have a lot of work ahead of me. For now, I would need to locate a generator so I can power up this portion of the mall. Then once that was done, the goal was to open up everything inside here and use it as a space for working on cars. The reason for this was because I wanted to get my mechanic skill up, and being able to work out the LV Mall would make it extremely easy for this task, mostly because there were a ton of vehicles scattered around the parking lot and rest of LV. It would also make it much easier to tow things here instead of all the way back to my fort. So with all this being said, I would scour the streets of LV looking for garages or any building that could potentially be hiding a generator within them. However, after a short while of driving around, I came across an area that seemed to be a music festival, and sure enough, I spotted a generator set up next to one of the food stands. Only problem was, I for some reason couldn't just pick up one of these metal blockades in order to bring my car through, so I had to quickly head back to the mall and grab some tools I had left behind in my other truck, and then I would head back to create an opening in the fencing. But of course, I had to deal with a small crowd of zombies before I could make an entrance. As soon as the little horde was dealt with, I began creating an entrance in the fence and would head within the festival grounds and would attempt to pick up the generator. But of course, I had some company I needed to take care of first. Once the generator was stowed away in the back of my tow truck, I would hop in my car and begin driving to see if there was any other generators laying around. I figured there must be another one laying around here somewhere, and without a doubt, I actually noticed another one tucked away behind the stage next to a pair of small buildings.
Okay, there's another generator up there. I'll probably just come back for it. I don't have the space to store it in my trunk, so I'll just remember that it's there and I'll come back here if I need to. Let me actually just quickly mark it. Somewhere around here, so just put a little symbol for it right there.
Yeah, so I guess I forgot to mention this part, but I had also planned on using the gas station closest to the mall, and I needed another generator for powering it. So I would use the one I had just gotten to hook up back at the gas station. Now, after returning to the area, I would be surprised by an unexpected horde that seemed to have worked its way out of the nearby building and began pouring into the lot just out front of the gas station.
Where'd all these zombies come from all of a sudden? I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of miss tapping on some zombie heads. They're all coming out of this big building right down here, aren't they? What even is this building? Alright, well, I've cleared out the horde. There's like one guy left. Let's just do this. There we go. Now we can work freely at the mall and at the gas station without any problems. So I have a generator there. I do have to get another one. Probably gonna swap out my car and go get the last generator back at that music festival.
Now I just needed to get the other generator. So I set off back to the music festival and would head back to the area I had last spotted one and marked on my map.
Got the generator. Let's take this back to the car. Problem is we have some company now. There's more. What the hell? Okay, they're all coming this time, hopefully. Okay, I think I broke their line of sight, so they should all just be going that way now. All right, we're just gonna sneak up and grab this generator and throw it in the back. We're out of here. Wait. Oh, you son of a bitch. No, my hat. My hat. I want my hat back. Ah, man, all that work for a single generator.
So after a long while of luring away and fighting off zombies for a single generator, I finally had it. And with it in tow, I would return back to the mall to immediately begin working on the space within the grocery store.
All right, we have the generators. Now we can start hooking things up here. Let's put this down right here. Could be a decent spot, hopefully.
So now that I had a generator hooked up, I would be able to turn on the lights around this side of the mall. However, for some reason, the light switch that would lighten up this whole grocery store just wouldn't work no matter what I did. Maybe it was a bug or the generator just couldn't reach it or something, I'm not too sure. So I would plan to just put down some floodlights to brighten it up inside the store. But for now, I would disassemble some of the shelving units in the store and use the wood to build a wooden gate on the front. Then I would grab one of the electrical books I brought with me here and read it to get an XP boost.
My goal is to now just disassemble things. I think like these will give me electrical skills, and there's a bunch of TVs and other things in this mall that I can use to get my skill up.
So yeah, I wanted to quickly focus on getting my electrical skill up, and thankfully the mall had tons of TVs, computers, and devices that I could use to level up the skill. And after a short while of running around the mall and disassembling things, I later got my electrical skill to level 6.
There we go, level 6 electrical. It only took like disassembling like 50 TVs and computers, but you know what? We're there. If I'm gonna be honest, I've really never maxed out my electrical skill in this game before. I've never really done more than 4. I don't really know what the point is. Like, what can you do with electrical stuff? I don't really know.
Now, from this point on, I would begin setting my focus to remodeling and transforming the space within the grocery store to what I had originally planned. To begin, I would start by disassembling the shelving within the store to clear up some space for cars.
This is good for now. We'll make it brighter over there at some point, but I'm gonna just start working on cleaning up the interior and getting rid of these like shelving and such, and get to work on actually setting up some cars they can actually take apart. But for now, I'm just gonna disassemble things. Okay, well, looks like I've pretty much cleared up the space, cleaned it up a bit, get rid of all the excess loot that I don't need. So now I just gotta, just do a few more things, and I'm gonna start bringing cars in here and start, tearing them apart and getting the metal and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we're almost done here. Gonna go ahead and finish destroying these things. Forgot about these.
So now that the space was cleared out, I could begin towing cars inside the store that I planned to work on for leveling up my mechanic skill. Firstly, I spotted a really nice car in the parking lot that was an old Porsche 911, which I decided I would keep and then later armor up. But nonetheless, I would begin towing all sorts of cars from around the lot and bring them into my new workshop. Obviously, I'm not done with renovating this space. I think at the time I just wanted to focus on getting my mechanic skill up and messing around with that before I were to start making this place look nice and a little bit more defendable. But anyways, once I had a decent amount of cars to begin with in my new workshop, I read the mechanics books for an XP boost and would begin training my mechanic skill on all the cars. And once any of the cars couldn't be further used for training my mechanic skill, I would then dismantle them, turning them into piles of metal and scrap.
That car just completely vaporized into nothing. Oh my god! Look at all the metal I have here. Oh, why didn't I do this when I needed it, man? All right, let's keep training the mechanics and dismantling these guys then.
So with a little bit of persistence and repetition of training my mechanic skill, dismantling cars, reading skill books, and then repeat, I later got my mechanic skill fully maxed out.
There we go. We now have max level mechanics. Mechanics is actually pretty easy to level up, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, we did it.
And with that being said, I followed up by dismantling these cars and then would sort out the pile of metal scraps into one big pile. Then I would head out into the lots with my tow truck and began towing as many cars as I could out front of the mall near the entrance of my workshop. This made it a little easier to simply tow each car into the entrance one by one, which I would dismantle for leveling up my welding skill, while also leaving a sizable pile of metal resources that I would use for making car armor.
There we go. Finally, we are now at level 6 welding. So let's pick this stuff up the ground, I think. Oh my god, I had 100 spare engine parts. I got 100.
Yeah, so now I was pretty much caught up on everything, clearing the space within the workshop, leveling up my mechanics skill to max, and getting my welding skill to level 6. I decided it was time to try and organize all the loot that was casually just all over the floor into some boxes, which after a bit of doing so and then adding a few more crates, including a table to allow me to craft things that needed a surface, I figured it was time to finally start armoring this really cool Porsche 911 I had waiting for me. I built a bull bar, a roof rack for storage, some window armor for all 4 sides, and then windshield armor for the front and rear. And soon enough, I had finally done it.
And there we go. It's armored. It's pretty much fully armored. I mean, there's no like hood armor or door armor. I thought there would be, but I guess that's it. Damn, that's really cool looking. We finally have an armored Porsche. This is quite an achievement.
And now with my fully armored Porsche, I decided I would hitch it up to my tow truck and then tow it back home to my fortress base. It had been roughly 5 days since I left home, and honestly, I was beginning to miss it. I planned on coming back to the mall at some point, but I wanted to take this opportunity to check up on things back at base. When I got there, I would go through each of my spare cars. I planned on salvaging most of them to use towards upgrading one of my vans.
This one's relatively high, but this one seems like it has more overall better stats. I think I'm gonna take apart this guy and then make this one better.
So I pulled the van around into my warehouse and then scrapped the extra one, which I planned on using its spare parts for upgrading and fixing the other. I would begin with fixing the hood and fully repairing it. Then I would also add a bull bar, followed up with a roof rack, a light bar, tire protection, and a simple engine upgrade for exhaust. After these modifications, I would begin adding armor like heavy hood armor and windshield protection. I also had to scrap one of my other spare cars for extra resources like metal sheets, bars, and pipes in order to afford the rest of the armor upgrades. And after quite a while of messing around with upgrading my van, I had eventually fully armored it.
There we go. Now we have a van fully armored, and it only took a little while and sorting through all my base loot, but we done it. I'm gonna just move this out of here and just sort through all this loot and put it away. Oh bro, this looks so cool. Look at this thing.
Finally done with arming up one of my cars, it was time for the more mundane tasks, mostly consisting of cleaning up the mess in the warehouse and just sorting through most of the loot. And after a full day of organization, I would head up to my bear bed and get some sleep. However, I unfortunately woken up a little too early in the night and I decided it was time to return to the mall. So I hopped in my tow truck and began to set out. I would stop at my old fob along the way to the mall. I remembered I had a bunch of extra cars out front, which I planned to relocate them back to the mall. So with that being said, I used my tow truck to hitch up one of the cars. However, after my first rotation, I had mistakenly overlooked something quite dangerous.
Oh my god, bro. I gotta get rid of those campfires. I fractured my foot. Bro, come on, man. There's like, the campfire I left in the middle of the freaking park. I knew that was gonna happen at some point. Why didn't I just take it away?
Yeah, somehow an assortment of rocks and sticks was dense enough to fracture my foot and leave a mark in my arm. I don't know how a car can't just drive over a campfire, but I digress. All I can say is, well, Zomboid logic. But anyways, I would have to live with this blunder because honestly, sometimes this game just reminds you that even if you have everything you can ever want and more to survive many years, you are truly never safe. Even a solid chunk of misplaced rocks and sticks you can call a campfire is enough to kill you if you're going over 40 miles an hour. But at least I was safe inside my mind. However, I had kept going on. I had made a splint and tended to my wounds and then would continue as I had originally set out to do. I would do laps back and forth from my old fob and transfer the cars here in front of the mall. In case you didn't remember, it's important to note that these vehicles have already been hot wired and have gas in them, so I was only transferring them because I had a use for them. But after I was done with transferring the vehicles, I headed into the mall with my truck and would stop at a few stores to waddle up to some furniture and then pick them up to bring back to my workshop. The goal right now was to build up some sort of living space and add a little bit of protection from the outside elements within my workshop. Like I said before, a home away from home sort of thing. I grabbed a bed, some couches, and a table with chairs and would return back. Then for a while longer, I didn't rest. Despite having a broken foot, I was determined to see this open floor plan turned into a proper home away from home.
I'm gonna go back to base. I'm gonna bring the flower beds and hedges that I got, and I pretty much finished the mall base that I want to use. I don't really, I mean, like I could just add more decorative stuff to it and things, but I for the most part it's like done. That's all I need it to be. But there is one other thing I want to do before I call it good. I want to go and visit the Louisville airport for one particular reason, because I think there's a chance a helicopter will spawn there. So I really want to go see if it is there and then bring it back.
Yeah, there is something I've always wanted to add to my arsenal. Over in the far reaches of LV, there was a newly added airport. I've personally never been there, but there's a chance a helicopter could spawn there. I've never had the pleasure of being able to fly one of those before, and I think it would truly be badass if I could house one of those here at my fortress. That was the goal at least. But for now, I would just return home and do the normal round check on everything back at base. The next morning, I would make some food and then check up on my animals and crops. I had also collected a handful of flower beds and hedges from the mall and would go around planting them around the yard, adding a nice homely charm to the place. And once I was done here, I felt it was time to set up towards the airport and retrieve that helicopter. So I hopped back in my truck and made a quick stop at the mall to grab a throwaway car. Since I was headed there to hopefully fly a helicopter back home, I would have to abandon my car, which I would much rather be one that I don't care about never getting back. I also loaded up on some guns and ammo in case there would be a fight for this helicopter, including some food for the road. Once everything was packed, I got some rest in my home away from home, and in the morning I would set off to the airport.
Is this the airport? Oh my god, that just came out of nowhere. Well, we have two. Oh, which one do we want? Dude, that scared the shit out of me. They hadn't rendered in the second I pulled up. Oh my god, well, they're here. We can either get the green one or this black one over here. I guess let's see what their conditions are and then just take the best one. Okay, so it's basically 100%, except the engine is only 63. Well, let's just take a look at what this one's looking at. Oh, yes. This is my helicopter right here. Now, is there any loot in them? Let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's some. Oh, then let's go ahead and prepare this helicopter for takeoff.
Yeah, and after a long journey to the airport, and after everything I had done to lead to this moment, I was not only rewarded with one helicopter, but two, which surprised me because I wasn't expecting to find one this easily, more or less without a fight for it. But either way, however you look at it, we now had the last piece to the puzzle, the last trophy to add to my collection and house back at my fortress. I would hop inside my newly found helicopter and hotwire the engine before being completely jump scared by the sheer sound of this beast.
Oh my god, it's loud. Oh my god, it's so loud. Editor, make it quieter. Ascend. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly mark where I'm at. So we need to head basically just about straight that way. Behind us, a tiny bit to the right. Okay, no problem. Here we go.
You know, there really is something just so mesmerizing about this journey. As I flew over the treetops and observed the changing colors of the seasons, I looked back on everything that led up to this moment. I started with nothing, just the clothes on my back, a stubborn will, and a dream to one day take over a fortress that resides beyond LV. And I did all that. I claimed that place as my own and turned it into a suitable living space fit for a king, one that I would be proud of and could always look back at for inspiration. But this wasn't the only thing. I even built a full forge and workshop, crafted armor, and then used said gear to clear out the entire mall, which I now fully hold control over. Not to mention, but even built a warehouse to hold all its loot back at my fortress. But here we are now, flying over the trees in a moment of bliss and realization that yes, I have everything. I've accomplished practically everything I wanted to, but all these objects and sharp rounded edges won't fill the last desire I have. What is the point in having all these luxuries if I cannot enjoy them with someone else? nice. Maybe I miss 𝐏𝐸𝐳 and I wish she could have seen this view with me. Or maybe it's just the fact that I really wish this game version had multiplayer right now. 𝐼ndyStone, I'm begging you, please don't take 2 years. But nonetheless, while I was truly happy and satisfied, I will be lonely in my fortress, and I don't know for how long. But maybe that's just the beauty of the apocalypse. So, I enjoyed every moment of this flight back home.
Hey, here we are. We made it. Oh my god. I'm flying over my house. This is so cool. Alright, let's bring her down. I need to make a helipad now. We're home. We have a helicopter. Let's go, man. Oh, this is so cool. Wait a sec. What is that? Is that a horde? Is that what that is? Oh no. I haven't even like worried about defenses. I wasn't expecting a horde to be out here.
It seemed that because of this helicopter, the sound was loud enough to attract zombies from afar. Now, a horde was on its way to put my fortress to the test, so I quickly ran upstairs to equip my armor I had long put away, and I then got in position to wait for the horde to come.
I don't know where they're gonna come from. I mean, I don't know if we can get inside the walls. Oh, I see some down there. I'm going to them. I'm not gonna let them breach my walls. Here they come. Oh, they're coming now. Oh, they're inside my walls. They're inside the castle. They're in my house. No, they're in my house. My sheep. They're running about. Get to safety, little guy. Go, go. Oof, what a night. We slept in a bit, but I think that sleep was warranted. We put up quite the fight yesterday. But now, we just need to do a bit of work to clean up the mess. Man, look at my place. Look at this place. It's just, in pieces, man.